Welcome back to the Corona Open here at Jeffreys Bay. It is our absolute pleasure to be bringing you round 2 action on a perfect day here at Super Tubes. Ronnie Blakey with Peter Mel. And Pete, we're about to see a big battle unfold between 2 intense rivals. Felipe Toledo and Kanoa Igarashi. A bit of history between these two guys this year.
Aren't you?
Oh, let's talk it right up. Of course, they had that interference unfold over there in the 3rd round. Brazil. At the Oi Rio Pro. You were there. It was intense. Let's see if Felipe can get one back on Kanoa.
Well, I'll tell you, Felipe has been putting together some good waves, and Kanoa this morning found himself on a gem for the warm-up.
Here we go, Igarashi. A big wall standing up in front of him. Almost loses that first turn. Trying to recover now. Falling out of the sky on that 2nd turn. Stalling for the barrel. He gets some cover. Will he find the exit? He's going to have to punch through the curtain to do so. And he doesn't quite get there. But an interesting exchange. I absolutely loved the 9-point ride Felipe put together in the first round. He had one of the highest losing heat score totals in round 1. He got bettered by Michel Perez, but we'll try and track down that 9-point ride for you at some stage during this heat. It was a mind blower.
It was purely on just psychotic rail work, but he had a complete point of difference. He's always been one of those fast surfers, and really, obviously, his aerials are second to none. But this type of surfing that he did, it was he just guillotined. Well, I don't even know. He samurai sworded the lip, just tore apart the wall. And let's see if he can do that type of surfing today, because conditions are very similar and a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So he's going to have that much more power and speed to do it.
Well, he peroxided the hair in order to look a little bit more like Fanning. I think the surfing...
Was that the purpose?
I think the surfing's faster these days. I think Mick is still one of the fastest guys, but I just think through his maneuvers, no one goes faster than Felipe.
In transition, right? I mean, that's the thing. Mick is very fast in and out of transition, but so is Felipe. I mean, Felipe knows how to make it and do it very, very quickly. As you see, even just a smaller wave. This is a 4.33 from the top of the point. Just warming up.
It's a sleepy ride for Felipe. Still epic.
It is. And a lot of it is that he rides equipment that gives him that ability to, it's very, very thin railed, really able to bite into all of his turns. Very responsive. You can see this beautiful set wave here. It almost goes down, keeps it together. But those 2 mistakes, and then not making the barrel here, only receives a very small score. With this morning's barrel that he got in that same section, unbelievable. That
would have been a pretty hard wave to save after those first 2 turns. He would have had to have exited a pretty deep and long barrel to take that up into the excellent range. And it's just funny, you see that often here. It's really hard to recover and find that rhythm if you don't get that first turn right.
Well, you just know that those first turns are so important in order to get into the excellent range and score so high. You can't have any errors.
Well, cop a look at this wave. Unbelievable. Standing up beautifully for the Brazilian. As he just continues to show us great variety on this forehand. So 3 different moves already. Starting to pace himself now. Able to commit to that move as the wave slowed down. And just bashing away relentlessly at this wall. Now stalling for the barrel. And finishes the wave with a clap to himself.
And a flyaway kick out to the cheers of the crowd.
Well, the crowd got going, that's for sure, but amazing variety, really mixed it up.
Oh, every single one of those turns a little bit different than the next. Just as searing, just as fast. Connected with the lip, got a little drift on the fins, the layback snapping.
Epic.
That very first turn, I mean, you would say that this probably could go near perfect. If you're throwing a comparison to some of the highest points that we've seen from Sebastian Zietz.
Well, hadn't seen too many 10s drop from the panel, but 2 10s came out in Sebastian's best wave in that last heat. It averaged out at a 9.83, but this is even better, this wave.
It is. That cutback, he was able to transition, get the board back the other direction 2 times in a row, and then tags the lip. Haven't seen a lot of that. Fades this next turn, but look at this. Big arc. I mean, completely done right there in that top half of the wave. And again, I mean, those were two beautiful, some of the best turns. And then, just for good measure, we'll get barrel.
Good barrel too. Well, he loves it. That's got to feel good. You know, whether you've got a jersey on or not, that's just a magic ride.
I mean, look at it. It did kind of move out. It wasn't super steep on that outside section, but that's what allowed him to really lay into these turns. That lower tide moving off a little deeper water, but look at this one, just lays into it. And just stalls for the barrel and the finish. Let's see if Kanoa can answer. I think he's got it in him. Look at that again. Straight up into it. Gets the board all the way back where the nose pointing the opposite direction at JBay. Anytime you can do that, you know you've chosen the right wave. 2 times in a row, and then there connects with the lip. Amazing variety. I mean, those were 3 absolutely different turns. Then goes back into the big arc carve, but that time does that really high up in that top portion of the wave, the steepest part of the wave. And look at the canvas. Talk about velvet. That's as smooth as it gets as it turns the corner and just goes into the wind now.
He's only 5'8", but much like Adriano, much like Kelly Slater, can hold a rail. It's not all about having that, you know, that lanky kind of frame that allows you to find that leverage. Now you can do it with really good timing. Just the length of that first carve, it was super drawn out. 9.63 came the number.
Almost feels like it's a little bit suppressed just because there could be more. It could be a longer barrel. I mean, it is getting better, giving a little bit of room in comparison-wise. But amazing wave, it really was.
Well, if we go back at some point during this heat and have a look at his other 9-point ride from the first round, I think Felipe has ridden 2 of my favourite waves in this contest so far. We're only halfway through the second round, but epic surfing that he's displaying here. You know, he hasn't had a great track record at this event, but he's always improved. So came here and had a 25th in 2014, a 13th in 2015. Last year he quarter-finaled. And with surfing like he's doing at the moment, you can see him there in the Final 4, maybe even challenging for a win.
As a whole, you would look at Felipe's surfing and say, yes, this is the type of wave that he would perform on. But it goes to show that, you know, his track record here needs experience, needs times reading the lineup to be able to be on those waves that's going to allow him to perform. And I think that's really been what's happened is he's realizing and getting better at reading the waves he wants to be on in order to execute those types of moves. And I mean, that's as good a wave as you're going to get out here where it's going to have that pace and showcase his talents, his ability to do those really quick in and out transitions. And I mean, he knows that variety and flow are 2 important factors in getting big scores on this from this panel. He's been working on it, and he also has held back a little bit on how many aerials we see from him now. He doesn't nearly put in as many airs as we saw from his rookie season or even his second season. He doesn't need to until it counts, and that's when you'll see it, and that's when it gets rewarded that much more.
I just don't think he's forcing his aerials like he did before because his other weapons are so strong.
Wouldn't need to.
Let's see what unfolds here. Taking off on an insider now, just trying to dispose of that 4.33 and get a little further ahead. Ducking into the barrel, room to move, and he's still running through this one.
That's too bad that wave didn't slow up right then there because that would have been a nice long barrel for him. But it just stretched out into that car park super tube section down there.
Well, you had to look at the performances in the first round coming into this heat and weigh up those heat score totals when picking a favourite. Kanoa had an 8.77 heat score total in the first round. He was in a heat with Kelly Slater and Julian Wilson. Both those guys put up big numbers. And Felipe, well, even though he lost, I mentioned that he had a really solid heat score total in the first round, 15.17.
He really didn't back up the 9. I mean, that kind of was what it came down to. I mean, he'd find an opportunity, he would have most likely upped that total and probably took in the heat one.
Let's see if Kanoa can turn his fortune here. Nice high line. Not getting too concerned about letting go of a big turn on this ride. Dug in on that second maneuver. Drives around the section. Just trying to really click into this inside wall now. Wants to get a good rhythm happening with some major maneuvers to finish this thing off. There's a solid hit straight into the barrel now. This wave is holding open. He's got to get out of here at some point. And right behind him, Felipe Toledo just working the crowd now. What a showman. And unlike Wiggly Dantes early in the event, got the claim, but managed to get a couple of turns done too on the end of that ride.
By the reaction of the crowd, before we cut to the camera, there must have something pretty special happening on that wave previous to us catching it. But even the finish with the barrel to two-turn combo to finish and then the exciting claim, you would say he was pretty happy about that performance. As we take a look at the whole wave here, he's straight in, stalls it, and he is barreled. And he is great with the speed control. That's why we saw the crowd react the way it did. So hard to do to slow down on your forehand like that. One of the techniques by the Hopgoods, double arm drag. You see that technique being used by Felipe Toledo, and of course the finish. Always important here at JBay. You see again in the barrel, on the foam ball, slowing down by putting both arms. Nice work, Felipe. Let's take a look at this with the slow-mo. You know, as he drops in, again, arm drag, then puts the second hand in. And at this point, when he starts to come out, he's stalled again.
You can see, Pete, that back foot coming off the tail pad, just moving a little further forward. What's he trying to achieve there?
Well, keeping the plane of the board up. You know, when you put your foot back there, it makes the board a lot more sensitive, but you can move forward on the board. It allows you to control that speed a little easier, even using your feet as a gas pedal or brake even to slow yourself down. And it also stabilizes you when you move up on the board like that.
And there isn't too many competitors on the championship tour that move their feet around on the deck of their board as much as Felipe, especially when he came out of the barrel to stomp straight back onto the block of that tail pad and let go of a big snap. Kanoa, he had a great wave too, and had he made the barrel on the inside, he'd be looking at a big score for this ride.
He would, you know, and a good, nice size set wave. He had some quality turns done there. You know, this wave didn't allow him to really kind of lay into those maneuvers because he had to keep that momentum going down the line. And you see, he did get that barrel, but we saw the nose of his board. You want to see that nose disappear completely from view in order to see those bigger numbers come from the barrel riding.
We'll get set for this. Kanoa Igarashi, he's about to put a mid-range score up, but a 10-point ride for Felipe Toledo. One judge showing him a 9.7, but of course the lower score, we get rid of that. Felipe celebrating out there in the lineup. I believe that's just the fourth 10-point ride this year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I won't correct you.
I think so.
I leave that up to the numbers guys.
Well, I'm thinking Zeke Lau on the Gold Coast. Rare to see a rookie get a 10 in their first event. They got a beautiful barrel behind the rock. We had Italo's unbelievable backside air reverse.
Yep.
And, well, the other one that is springing to mind is, well, only this one at this stage, but we'll try and dig it up. I'm wondering if there's, maybe it's just the three.
Oh, come on. Zeitz. What about...
Oh,
wait.
my goodness.
How did we forget that?
Sebastian, how did you forget that?
Yeah. The Seabass,
one of your greatest commentary moments.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a 10-point ride for you as well.
And this sickness probably will let me even get in a higher octave if we want to see another one there. If we want. I can go even higher.
Yeah. Love it.
You know, not the perfect 10. You know, perfect 10 being every judge giving a 10. But you know what? A 10 is a 10. It's still the same amount of points.
Yep.
And very substantial two-wave total, best of the event.
He's on fire out here at the moment. Well, let's have another look at it because it just barreled from the takeoff.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of why we went 10 on this as well. I mean, yes, the length of the barrel, the fact that it was deep, the speed control. But I feel like that's close, but he even gets these maneuvers here, which were high quality as well. The finish right there, ton of speed. I mean, I like the 9.63 just as much.
Personally, I liked it better. The 963. Just the variety. I thought it was a hard wave to link together. It had that section, like you said, that flattened out. And it might be the reason that it went a little lower. But
Not
just
as difficult a wave to ride, but
just the read.
Yeah, I mean,
was amazing on the.
I like the variety. I mean, the fact that he was able to just do all different types of turns, and the only time we've really seen anybody do an arc with that much speed and not have to cut it short in order to keep moving down the line, he was able to really finish the maneuver 2 times in a row outside, which we hadn't seen yet at this event.
We have found another 10-point ride too this year.
In your head?
Felipe had it at Winky. In the same heat, he had a 9.7, a heat score total of 19.7. So he's just collected his second 10-point ride for the year.
He's on point.
He is, yeah. And, you just can't help but think, I hope missing that contest due to unsportsmanlike behaviour. I hope it doesn't punish him at the end of the season. He's got to be really careful in these earlier rounds at every stop from here on in. If he wants to have a shot at the world title, Felipe can't trip up early on. He's got to keep getting keeper results.
Well, I must say that at this point, you would have to say that he's kind of a contender. I mean, we really haven't truly mentioned him as somebody that would be a JBay because he doesn't have the results here. He had the quarterfinal last year, of course, but last year was kind of small for most of the event. Whereas now we're seeing perfect JBay, and he's posting 19.63 point totals. You would say that he's someone to watch, and he's got a good seed heading into the later rounds.
He's had some really solid results through the back half of the year, even wins. But we always talk about it, the big test for Felipe from here on out. It's going to be Tahiti and Pipeline. At every other event, he's a fantastic shot at winning.
But I do not underestimate him. I really don't. I think that his talents are just way too high. His determination that high that, we saw him. He made it through a few rounds in Tahiti.
Well, get ready because he's up. He's got nothing to lose now. He can put on a big show for us. Deep carve to get started. Plenty of body talk on show here. Not surprised to see him take a fall on that wave. He is just surfing completely free and without a worry in the world at this stage.
It'd be hard to just not turn on every single wave at this point.
Kanoa Igarashi still has time, but he needs something really special. He needs a couple of the best waves maybe we've seen all day to roll through.
It almost looks like they're coming, Ron.
14.5 minutes to go. Big lines approaching. The man in blue out the back with priority. Needs to get himself a 9.64 to break combination. Felipe swinging on the inside. Drives off the bottom. Big layback jam to get started. Sets up that pit once again. Kick stall. And he's going to get more cover through the inside. And he'll squeak out. Great little adjustment.
That was insane.
Here goes Kanoa. A lot of foam on the face. That was a pretty decent set size wave that rolled through just prior that we saw Felipe on. It kind of ruined the lineup a little.
It did. It was an unfortunate, because Kalohe let that wave go by, thinking that number 2 was the one. And, of course, number 2, unfortunately, ran into the whitewater. That's the danger of being too far up, and there was a beautiful little rebate for Felipe. How was the jam? He literally, carved out of that barrel.
Top seeds have been strong today. Just a couple falling out of the mix. Kalohe and Dino and Sebastian Zietz. But the red jerseys have been dominant. Felipe Toledo on fire out here at the moment. Trying to get rid of a 9.63.
Double overhead wall. Right there, tiny bit of a bobble, not too bad, but good stall for this barrel. And then look at the section down the line, ton of speed, goes up the board, puts himself way up on the board, but then realizing that section was coming down and turned down out of it. Such a great read. It's so hard to do. You feel like you wanted to stay high up in the barrel for that whole entire time. but he saw that it was going to section out, and he was able to get underneath and read it and carve out.
12 and a half minutes to go. Kanoa Igarashi having a look at that one. Kanoa had such an impressive run through last season. In this round, he avoided second round losses all year and finished with just a memorable performance at the Pipe Masters. Got himself a second place finish as a rookie at Pipe. But this year, he's had to just cop what it feels like to lose out in round 2, and he's staring down the barrel of another 25th here.
Yeah, I mean, that was no fluke either, his second place. I mean, he earned it. He got barreled at back door. He found really good waves. He got good scores. He overtook some great surfers to get there. You can hear that wind just whipping. Yeah, it must feel pretty good having a 19.63 total and still have 11 minutes to go and pumping surf at JBay.
Well, here we go. Kanoa taking off. And there's some of that barrel riding expertise that he can put together. Looking for more on the inside now. Grabbing the wall. And this thing's starting to reel off. Another nice pit for the young Californian. And he is locked in big time now. Can he find the exit here? There he is. Well, that is a solid wave. 3 long barrels getting really deep down the line there.
I'll tell you that, from the view of the judges, is so far down the line. They're going to have to see the review of that final camera, because that's that last camera even all the way down there, just barely catching the last end of that ride. But 3 solid barrels. You're right. That was awesome.
So 10 and a half minutes to go, and we're seeing the replay now. So there is still time on the clock. This is from the camera that we have situated further down the line. Let's have another look at it to see just how deep he got.
Well, you can see that's great speed control in the barrel. Of course, reading again that section's going to speed up down the line. And this is that sand on the reef that we've had here. And look, he does thread through and comes out clean in the end.
That's a good wave. A really good wave for Kanoa there. Couldn't have come at a better time. Let's see if it breaks combination for him. What are your thoughts, Peter? 9.64 to break combo.
I don't feel it's going to go quite that high.
What was missing?
The midsection when he was sniffing out the barrel for that second one. I feel like there was some wasted time. Could have had a turn in there. Could have looked a little flowy. And when you have those moments in a wave that you're kind of just standing there waiting, that affects your score. I feel like you need to be doing something at that point. You know, if it's a turn or carrying speed or at least adjusting, because he was just waiting.
Show me where those opportunities were lost.
Right here. Sitting there, he kind of weaves and weaves. He's, whereas that could have been a turn. And that's the flow, and that's the combination of major maneuvers, part of the criteria that is missing.
Great barrel riding. Kanoa really collected the majority of numbers for this ride on that final section. Nice and deep, got truly funneled.
He would have been thinking about this morning's barrel, because that was that same section, and he literally had pretty close to a 10-point ride earlier this morning with best wave of the morning. So again, he's kind of reflecting upon that.
Shame he didn't have a jersey on. 7.33, not enough to break combination, but 8.5 minutes to go. Felipe Toledo out in front.
Welcome back to the Corona Open here at JBay. The waves are absolutely firing. Toledo's out there sitting on a 10 and a 9.5. He's absolutely just blitzed the field. Canoa's against the ropes, but getting tubed all the way down through tubes. It's been incredible action out here. Great views from down here on the rocks if you want to get a little solitude down here on your own to watch these heats, or you can be up in the Corona tent, which is just amazing. I think this is definitely the best setup on tour. Corona's done a great job with the environment, building these great places for everybody to perch and watch the waves. I couldn't think about being anywhere else right now. Maybe back out in the water, but you know, can't be everywhere all the time.
How about Casa Corona? Heading up there.
Casa Corona is good. We'll go check that out for sure. And let me tell you, it is so beautiful down here right now. This afternoon light just turns on out here. And I think the swell is continuing to increase. And I think when the tide hits the bottom and starts to push back up, we'll see some of the most amazing waves. We're going to see what we came for. And we're going to see even better waves than we've already seen. And I can't wait to see it all.
Lots to watch unfold today as we get through this second round. Heat 8 unfolding at the moment. Felipe Toledo having his, putting together his best ever JBay performance.
This is living. That's the tagline for Corona. This is living.
More waves rolling our way. Dreamy conditions. A good call early on. I was scratching my head when they didn't kick off the third heat of the second round earlier this morning.
But it was we were tripping, right? We all were. I think everyone was, because it was pumping. It wasn't that windy. And then, sure enough, there was that point when it got very strong out of that devil wind direction, which is northwest. It blowing up the face. It would have tore up. Anybody surfing during that heat would have been super bummed.
It was challenging.
It was.
And we watched very closely for the 2.5 hours, and we really didn't see too many major turns laid down until kind of closer to the start of that first heat. So a good call from the commissioner's office, and now we're enjoying beautiful conditions, and we're seeing monster scores laid down. 5 minutes remaining here. Let's hear from the winner of that last one, Leonardo, getting one back on Sebastian Zietz, and Leo is with Rosie.
Well, Leo, continuing your role from Fiji, I mean, we spoke about it, just breaking that glass ceiling over there and then bringing that same momentum through to Super Tubes. Yeah. You're frothing right now.
I am frothing. I mean, we're in JBay. The waves are absolutely pumping, and it's just it's a dream to be here. And yes, getting some rhythm. But I mean, look at that. It's definitely the best waves I've ever surfed in my life, probably in the heat.
And starting off strong has been, you know, the theme throughout the day. When you get that first excellent ride and then back it up so quickly, was that part of the game plan? Because it has been a little bit slow through the middle parts.
Oh, Philippe's still going, by the way. But yes, my goal was to try and get a big score at the start and then back it up, and I pretty much did that. But on the way before me, Seabass got a 10 pretty much. He got a 9.8. So what do you do when that happens? I mean, it was a tough heat. I was in a tough situation because I had to better an 8, and he only needed a 6. So some of the waves that was going on, I was like, maybe I might not bet it, but he might get the score. But it was tough. You know, Seabass is an incredible surfer. We had a really good match up in Bells. It was super close, and in Bells I had 2 8s and I lost, and this time I had 2 8s. I'm like, wow, am I gonna lose again? Is he just that good? But you know, I think he made a couple mistakes, and I'm just stoked to make that heat. And win or lose, I mean, we serve pumping JBay, so I'm just happy to be here.
And it sounds like from what you're saying that you do contemplate those past heats that you've surfed against people. I mean, how does that play into your psyche? Is it a positive thing, or does it make you a little bit nervous?
I mean, you learn from the losses. You learn way more from the losses than from the wins. So this year I think I've lost more than I've won. So I'm definitely learning a lot. And going up against Seabass or just matching up against somebody that you've surfed already, makes it a little bit more exciting, you know. Before the heat, we're joking around, just going like that to each other. And as I said, Seabass is an incredible surfer, and I knew it was going to be a tough heat.
Well done, Leo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. A great effort from the 19-year-old into the third round.
Very
just
intelligent.
the second time this year.
Again, when he had to let those waves go by and he's controlling the heat, he surfed very smart in that sense of holding priority and making those right decisions, because it was a tough situation. He did have to let waves go by, and he had to surf waves knowing that he probably wouldn't better the 8.
Here we go, Kanoa Igarashi, 2.5 minutes to go. Still trying to break combination. So much speed to burn on this first turn. Beautiful big carve there. been hungry for the tube throughout this exchange, and he's going to find a good one here. Will he come out? He might have got lost inside there somewhere. So doesn't find the exit. What a shame. That thing was really throwing nice and wide for him. But obviously slipped up somewhere along the line. 2 minutes remaining now.
Not the easiest barrels in the world to ride. They really aren't. I mean, unless they are those special ones that kind of hit that shallower portion of the reef where they really open up, a lot of times they do go into that deeper water and they close up. It felt like this one did that. Yeah, that first arc was very nice. Turns down into the bowl. Shows commitment. And then here, had to wait to find the barrel, but finally gets up underneath. You know, it almost feels like he could have been in that section beforehand, but right there you see that white water comes up from the explosion inside the barrel and then takes you out.
He was right there, right at the mouth of that barrel. Almost found the exit, just got knocked down as the thing clamped up right at the end, but there's just over a minute to go, and turning around a combination is difficult in any heat, but chasing down a two-wave total of 19.64. It doesn't happen too often. It's only happened a handful of times, I'm sure.
Less than a handful. I'm trying to think back on some of the biggest turnarounds. There was one that I remember way back with, I want to say CJ Hobgood turned one in Japan. It was, I mean, shoot, that would have been probably 7 years ago.
I don't think I was born, but here we go.
Thanks.
Kanoa up once again, 30 seconds to go. Just feeling out the JBay wall at the moment because this heat is going to be won by Felipe. And I don't know if it was in his mind, Felipe's mind, Pete, that heat in Brazil, a controversial heat. But he certainly came out swinging, threw some beautiful surfing together for us. Great variety again.
I'm sure it'd be a little motivation, you know, and that's, you know, Kanoa competing, you know, knowing that he was in a strong position, and he was in the best position for the beginning of that heat to get that wave. And, you know, this you're standing up to some of the top seeds. It'll motivate you.
A 10-point ride and the highest heat score total of the contest so far. Felipe Toledo on fire. More big round two heats coming up next with Joe Tapel and Martin Potter.
Welcome back to the Corona Open here at Jeffreys Bay. The JBay is firing today, and Felipe Toledo is coming in right on the reef. and it's not an easy task, let me tell you, but he's going to do the rock dance. There's so many muscles and sharp rocks out there, and there are two distinct places here, one to paddle out and one to come in. He did not take the ladder. The other keyhole down at the bottom here is actually created from a stream that comes out through the mountain when it rains, and it's carved out a nice little channel for you to find your way in. It's a pretty good effort, though. You have to really find the exit point right as you see the stairwells, and then you can kind of negotiate the inside rocks, and then you find the keyhole, which is a pretty defined channel, but it's not very big. Obviously, Toledo deciding to come straight in, as you can see him right on the rocks, just feeling it. And wow, I guess you would be feeling it either way after that heat. I would be feeling no pain, but you got to be careful because you don't want to hurt yourself on your way in. We got another heat to do. We got Joe and Potts up in the booth. Take it away, boys.
Good man, Strider. What a big accomplishment to find the keyhole for Felipe. It looks like he's just made the decision to come in wherever he wants. Had a 10-point ride in that heat, the highest combined heat total of the contest so far, 19.63 total. Toledo just sent a message to the top 34. He's out here to win at Jeffreys Bay. Joe Turpel alongside 89 world champ Martin Potter. Well, he's done a lot more besides his world title. He used to come down here to JBay, got to compete against your heroes, and now you get to still call the action of the best in the world. What do you see in Toledo that separates him from the top 34?
Oh, he's got that X factor, Joe. It's that pizzazz. I mean, you look at the way that he's approaching the wave now. He's a lot stronger, and he's growing in strength, and his rail game, to me, is just getting better and better and better. I mean, it kind of baffles me that this kid hasn't won a world title yet. You know, obviously the Souza world title year, he won 3 events that year. So if he can find a bit more consistency, he is going to be unstoppable with stuff like that. I mean, he's good in the tube. He's starting to work it out in the bigger, heavier waves, but that rail game that he showed today is as good as it gets out here.
Really impressive, Toledo. You can come in wherever you want. Owning the lineup here at Jeffreys Bay as we transition into round 2. Heat number 9, Kyle Wabelli, last year's Rookie of the Year, a former World Junior champ, takes on Stu Kennedy. Kennedy ended up entering himself into that Rookie of the Year race after he completed 9 events. That was what he had to do. He was an injury replacement wild card for Bede Durbich. Bede, obviously the significance of that injury, we didn't see him come back until the Pipe Masters. So Stu got a complete rookie season on tour when he first thought he was one spot out once again. And Stu made worthy cause of that. Semi-final out of the gates of Snapper Rocks. A performance that we're still talking about as we watch the highlight reel. And seeing some great warm-ups from Stu out here at Jeffreys Bay. And Kai Wabelli, even though he's injured, he really wants to hunt the barrel here. This is what just happened.
Yeah, well, coming off the last heat, I mean, these guys are going to be fired up, to say the least. Kai Wabelli carrying an ankle injury, Joe, so let's see how it is looking here today. JBay obviously very demanding on the physical being. Kai Wabelli looking good, though. He's had some time to rest. He's had a few lay days. He's finding a nice little barrel. Comes around the section and drops an 8.50 on wave number 1. That is the way to start out here.
Beware of the wounded.
Wow.
8.5. He's talking about the pain he's been surfing through, but he wanted to enter this event here at Jeffreys Bay, one of his favorite stops on tour. One thing Kyle says, anytime he's surfing, if it's 1 foot, if it's 10 foot, he just wants to get barreled all day long. And 8.5 to kick things off against Stu. That was a huge start.
Huge start. One judge went as high as 9. We saw a 10, our first 10 so far in this event from Felipe Toledo. He backed it up with a 9.6. Incredible 2-wave total. John up there as well with 19 plus 2-wave total. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. That's for sure. I mean, the conditions are meant to get better. The swell is meant to pick up a little bit more. And I dare say, Joe, with that sand through this impossible section, we are going to see more 10-point rides.
Can't wait. Unbelievable to see the situation unfold as far as the forecast was concerned for this event. We knew we were going to get great waves. The world's best absolutely scoring. Kaio already with a solid barrel with an 8.5. Kaio in his 2nd year on tour. Took him a few years on the QS to finally break through and make the qualification. Still just 23 years of age. Coming from Guarujá, the same zone as a world champ named Adriano de Souza. So he got to benefit from someone from his backyard, sort of paving the way right before him and already accomplishing a world title.
Yeah, beautiful part of the world, Guadalajara. We used to have events back in the 80s down that way, and beautiful beach breaks, really nice, friendly humans. And Caio Belli flying the flag for Guadalajara, just outside of Sao Paulo. Amazing talent, Rookie of the Year last year. And, well, remember back when him and Felipe Toledo were going head-to-head in the King of the Groms, both little kids, and now here on the big stage.
Really impressive how quickly things develop for these all-star athletes. You're just a little kid, about 12, and usually the legends of the sport can pick out that talent. This guy could go all the way. Caio got invited on magazine trips over to the States with kids like Connor Coffin, and Caio couldn't speak English then. He was the quiet kid in the corner, but let his surfing do the talking. Once he started learning English, you learn how funny this guy is. He always makes you laugh. He's enjoying his road around the world. Proud to be representing Brazil. Now he's going to be happy to try to pick which wave he wants in this lineup.
Joe, I love my job, but on days like today, I tell you, it's killing me watching this. This is obviously, that's just us being a surfer. We love surfing and we love riding waves, but this is just unbelievable stuff right now.
So Stu Kennedy getting his first wave here at the 26-minute mark. Surfer from Lennox Head, Australia, jams the first section. Beautiful bottom turn and hacks it right in the pocket. Nice punch out off the top of that wave, and he's got plenty of room well overhead. He wants this thing to wrap him up. Quick vision there, packs the inside section that's still spinning on him. Kennedy looking for the exit, will transition to Caio. The belly already barreled. Layback jam, he's got a ton of speed. Plenty of drive to make this exit. Back into the barrel just to kick out quickly. It's a shootout in round 2, heat number 9.
Oh my goodness. You can tell it's starting to pulse. I mean, there's plenty of waves in that last heat. It's normally you have generally the ocean takes a little bit of a breather when you have a heat with so many good waves in it. It doesn't look like it's stopping, Joe. It is just marching around the corner. We're just seeing set after set after set, and I love it because these guys are all going to get multiple opportunities, and it's going to come down to the guy that is just on fire today, Caio Belli. Wave number 2 of the set, a little bit bigger than Stu Kennedy's. Fades off the bottom, drives nice and high, moves and shuffles up the board. Now he shuffles back to get his foot in the sweet spot and unloads a beautiful layback turn. Draws off the bottom again, right in front of Stu Kennedy. Barrel number 2, comes flying out of that. What's he got next? And he decides to kick out. Caio Belli's going to back up that 8.50 with another great score. But here we can see, look at the face of the wave here at Jeffreys Bay. It just gives you so much time to think about things, maybe too much time sometimes, but look at it. I love the way he shuffles up the board, flying back out, moves his feet back into that sweet spot and just hooks into that turn. Beautiful stylish maneuver there from Caio Belli. And again, tube ride number 2 on the wave. Wow, it is absolutely firing this afternoon here in South Africa. And I am on the edge of my seat.
Unbelievable exchange. This is what Stu was able to take off on for his opening wave of the matchup.
Yeah, just a little unfortunate for Stu. Picked the first wave of the set, but how do you let these waves go by? I mean, it's a tough thing to do, to sit there and say, well, is there going to be another one? Beautiful turn right there from Stu Kennedy. Now he draws off the bottom, waiting for it. Gets nice little cover up, flies down the line, pulls into that next section as he disappears around the corner. And as there's that phenomenon of Jeffreys Bay, Joe, where the wave bends out to sea. When you see that happening, you know it is firing.
Stu Kennedy loving that approach. He's always had that great rhythm on down-the-line point breaks. Lennox Head is one of the more fun waves on the coast of Australia, in striking distance of plenty of more waves around the corner. He's had beach breaks to grow up on, obviously just down the way from Snapper, where the debut is always for the World Surf League Championship Tour. So you always know he doesn't mind spending a long time on a wave. He's not afraid of variety. And at JBay, obviously a big difference in the curve of the wave, the pace of the wave, the power of the wave compared to Snapper. He knows how to control that speed. He's a hyperactive athlete, but he can downshift just to set his turns up right where they're supposed to go.
Absolutely. Well, we talk about point break surfers here. You talk about Mick Fanning, who grew up surfing Snapper Rocks, and Joel Parkinson, obviously, as well. The other point break surfer that comes to mind is Adam Melling, who finaled here against Geordie Smith. He's from Lennox Head. So guys that have grown up riding those waves, that spend a lot of time on the wave, are way more familiar with Jeffreys Bay. But it's a point break that every other point break is compared to.
Really impressed to see Stu Kennedy with the hard work he put in on the QS to qualify after a couple of near misses, sponsor changes, even the idea of hanging it up completely. Started working in construction for a couple of years. Then we're talking one of the most celebrated junior athletes that came out of Australia. Stu's in the same kind of generation as Matt Wilkinson. Grew up competing in the biggest surfing circles. And it all came down to finally getting a call up last season with a couple of injuries. Opening ride for Kennedy in this one, 6.0. Second wave for Kaya Ubeli, 7.93. Kaya opened with the 8.5. What a way to kick off your matchup when you're injured. Kaya will take a look now. Wave number 3 so far. Nice clean setup carve to get down the line. Full wrap on the next effort. Now going off the lip. Kyle winds up off the top again. Perfect flow and rhythm. Late hit, he'll go down.
I cringe when those, when someone's got an injury and they go for that last maneuver right at the end of the wave. But his adrenaline is going to be pumping right now. He is feeling absolutely no pain.
You look at Kyle already just fired up off the big scores already. So you can see he's just like looking to let loose here. Board looks solid, Punk.
Yeah, board looks solid. He looks energized. Beautiful swooping maneuvers. I love his style. It took him to success this year at Jeffreys Bay up against Geordie Smith in the final. This kid's got a big future ahead of him. Very consistent, very smart. And I like that, just stock standard, no mucking around surfing. He's definitely one to watch.
So scores coming in for Kyle. Loving that he's already had a CT final behind him. That was a classic over at Bells Beach. And you were talking about the similarities with people that work out the system at Bells and then translate it to Jeffreys Bay. There's something about it that two difficult waves to master. I think that's the idea, where the athlete who's a challenger likes to be challenged and figure out new things, how to score well, can adapt to the system here. Last number for Kyle is not going to affect his lead, a 6.83. Stu holds priority, and he's comboed now at 20 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. We have a lot of special things happening behind the scenes with Corona partnering with Parlay, and a couple of big wave legends. Two-time world champ Greg Long and Ramon Navarro, a big part of the cause. And there was Strider Wasilewski.
Thanks, guys. Down here with environmental ambassadors Greg Long and Ramon Navarro. What brings you guys here to JBay?
Aside from the amazing waves, we're here representing the Corona Parlay collaboration and partnership that has recently formed. It's an initiative to bring an end to the marine plastic pollution worldwide. Specifically with Corona has made an incredible commitment to cleaning up 100 islands over the course of the next few years by implementing Parlay's strategy, which is AIR, an acronym for Avoid, Intercept, Redesign. Starts at the baseline of education, bringing in the infrastructure of local communities, and at the end, redesigning this plastic into something that can be useful and purposeful afterwards, with the ultimate goal of finding an alternative to plastic, which is ultimately a design failure as we know it. So the two have gathered together, starting a huge movement to raise awareness here on the beach. We've been implementing a bit of the AIR strategy with the WSL at the event site here. There's amazing programming, education happening at the back Corona Pavilion and Parlay Pavilion, and enjoying some phenomenal surfing while we're here too.
So how bad is the plastic problem, Ramon?
Oh, the plastic problem, everyone knows, it's like global, it's a global problem. We have plastic everywhere, and for me, the Maldives trip with the Corona and Parlay Alliance was like the one clicked my mind pretty much. We get there and it was this beautiful place, like 100 islands, just beautiful. It looks like a paradise. We swimming into there and it was like the more contaminated place I've ever seen in my whole life. Like so many plastic bottles and plastic everywhere. So we have the opportunity as humans, I believe, to change this. It's kind of like the chance we have, but we have to do it now.
So, Greg, what can we do as humans to correct this problem?
starts at the individual level, looking within our own lives and to seeing how we can avoid using plastic in the first place, and then the education, world-round places who may not know any better, to educate them, and then the support and the infrastructure, which takes implementing governmental legislative processes, which Parlay has been very active at doing, and ultimately looking at plastic again as being a design failure, that we need to address the issue and find an alternative to that. But in the meantime, looking at using ocean plastic where there is a tremendous supply of, there's an estimated 8 million metric tons of plastic that enters our oceans and waterways annually, and utilizing that in lieu of making virgin plastics, which is happening on a daily basis. So the solutions are there. It's just a matter of getting the big businesses and brands like Corona, wonderful example, to become involved and spreading the awareness and then putting that into direct action.
Well, guys, thank you very much for being here, the ambassadors, and changing things out. Thanks to Corona and Parlay for the partnership, and we'll get some more out of you later.
Thanks, Strider.
Thank you.
Thank you, Strider, and big thanks to Ramon Navarro and two-time big wave champ Greg Long for participating in such an amazing cause that would affect not just surfers, but everyone globally that lives on this earth. Big thanks to Corona for partnering with Parlay. Corona knows they're born on the beach, and that's the first thing they want to protect. And to get spokesmen like world champs like Greg Long and Ramon, what a class act coming out of Chile. He's this underground big wave charger who now made a big name for himself through the Big Wave Awards. And great to have him down here in Jeffreys Bay, Potts.
Yeah, two absolute legends, that's for sure. I had the opportunity to surf with them the other day at Boneyards, and just class acts, both of them. And it's education. I think people don't exactly understand the concept of plastic, and if we can educate our kids, go to schools and start that way. I mean, I start with my kids straight away. I'm teaching them how to recycle, to separate plastics from biodegradables and so on and so forth. So fingers crossed it works.
Loving it. We'll keep that message clear, and big thanks to Corona and Parlay as this one continues. 16 minutes remaining in round 2, heat number 9. Kiowa Belly, 8.5793, coming off injury. One of his better years again on tour because he finaled at Bells. Kennedy combo at 15.45 to go. Stu's best is 6.0. Red jersey belongs to Kiowa Belly, being the high seed in the matchup. He's flowing down the line. Hard off the bottom, there's the layback. Big whip off the top, he'll sink on the landing. Potts, thinking about a game plan when you're nursing an injury. You already have 2 solid scores. Would you want Kyle just to sit tight, kind of drop anchor, or does it help to keep your ankle a little bit warm?
Well, I mean, it all depends. It all depends on the severity of the injury still. I mean, he's been carrying it for some time, and I know that at the beginning of the waiting period, we're chatting to him, and he said, it's every time I surf, it's in pain. So, whether that's still the case now, I mean, keeping the thing moving is probably a good part as well. Keep that blood flow. Blood flow promotes recovery. So here we go, Stu Kennedy.
Stu now big wind up. Nice clean wrap. Wants to get back down the line as this one's starting to run. Quick check off the lip to set up the barrel. Kennedy trying to punch free of the lip, but it's going to get a hold of him and take him down. Interesting rounds here. Remember, all the red jerseys in the second round are the high seeds. We've lost a couple throughout the day today. Sebastian Zietz went down with one of the highest single wave scores to Leo Fioravanti. Also, Kolohe Andino going down to Jadson Andre earlier today. We've seen a lot of success on the other end from some very close decisions. Owen Wright was in that first heat this morning. Ethan Ewan tried to turn it to get his first win of the season. Owen was happy to survive that one to kick off the day.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, we've had some great heats, Joe. I mean, the waves have absolutely been pumping, and every heat's had a lot of opportunity, so it's great. I mean, we generally in the past we have kind of slow heats where one guy will get a couple of waves and the other guy will sort of be starved of waves, but here today it's just been rapid fire. Everyone's had multiple opportunities. It goes to show, I mean, Sebastian Zietz losing with a 9.6 in his scoreline. It's indicative of what's going on out there.
13:25 on the clock. Kaio out front. Some surfer spots seem to have a signature move or something you expect out of them, or maybe their highlighted feature radical maneuver. Starting with Kaio, is there one maneuver that comes to mind, or is he more about overall performance?
Yeah, I think Kaio's more about overall performance. I think as he's growing, he's just showing to me that he's surfing so smart. I mean, he's saving his highlight reels for maybe the free surfs. Go out there and have some fun and try new moves. But generally during his heats, I'm loving what I'm seeing from him because it is just clean, smooth, mistake-free surfing. I think that's why he's got some good results already this year.
Kaio Belli, since moving from Guangzhou, now spending a lot of time in Southern California and even a lot of time going to the Hawaiian Islands as well. Recently got his license in California, so he has a car and he just drives up and down the coast, finding different waves to surf. He's opened up a whole world to himself, even going south of the border in Mexico to get warmed up for events. That's why it was so different for him. He got here and he said, I haven't surfed. It's so different for Kaio to come into an event where he's feeling cold because he likes to spend 8 hours a day in the lineup.
You know what, though? That's not a bad thing, especially here at Jeffreys Bay. It's quite easy to burn out here. I mean, it's quite easy to go out and surf your brains out, and then you kind of get a bit stale. So he's coming in fresh. He's coming in hungry. He's coming in wanting to catch more and more waves, and I think that's kind of a good thing.
A great thing now as we hear the whistles on the beach. A few years ago, we hear the vuvuzelas sounding in the distance because it was close to the World Cup, and you knew a set was coming around the corner. Stu Kennedy now setting up a comeback to break the combo. Big vertical, straight up through the lip. Nice rapid cutback. Third step, just a nice front side hook one more time. Stretches it out through the inside wall. Clean snap once again, sticking to maneuvers on this one. There's the grab rail fin throw that he's famous for, and somehow pulls that one out. Wow. Kaio in the barrel now in the next effort. He makes it out. Bonus section for Kaio. He's just flying through. Steps off, and we'll see what happened out the back at the beginning of Kaio's wave with 11 minutes to go.
Yeah, it seems to be this kind of rhythm where Stu Kennedy's getting the first wave of the set, Kaio's getting the one behind, maybe taking a little bit of shine off Stu Kennedy's wave. So kind of a smart move right there for Kaio Belli. Stu Kennedy, though, that was an exciting wave for him. He lit that thing up. Beautiful end maneuver there. We haven't seen a lot of that here at Jeffreys Bay, have we?
We're starting to talk about the idea of signature moves, and we know Stu loves to do that one, but an awkward section, and he pulled it off. Let's see what Kaio did out the back.
Yeah, just beautiful, clean surfing. I love that swooping maneuver that Kaio's got, and he's picked a wave that's kind of running at a certain pace. Now it starts to come down into the car park section. We're going to now start going through impossibles as he slows himself down. A nice paced wave, this one, so it's giving him time to make his moves, giving him time to tuck up under that barrel, riding it all the way through, right in front of Stu Kennedy yet again. So an 8.5, a 7.93, Stu Kennedy on the first wave of the set, trying to replace a 5.17, Joe. Beautiful, straight up through the lip maneuver, jams it around with a little bit of a flick at the end there. So showing some point of difference, keeping that board moving rail to rail. Stu Kennedy's grown up on point breaks, so those legs aren't burning just yet. Another nice snap for Stu Kennedy. Almost thought about tucking under the lip, but decided not to, and then does that beautiful slash grab with a little bit of a tail tapping drop. So a lot going on right there. I think definitely Stu Kennedy is going to improve on his situation. He's in a combo situation, and this is going to definitely help. Grabs that rail, pokes the nose. Look at the fins. Oh, look at that. The board almost sideways, and manages to pull it off. So incredible control right there from Stu Kennedy, and that is going to get him right back in the mix, Joe.
Really impressive just to maintain control and somehow stay on his feet. We've been talking about how tough it is just to get a finish when you're down the bricks and the bottom drops out. We see so many wipeouts throughout this event down there. Then to get that radical, that risky, to maybe miss out on a big part of that ride. He went for it, earns it. It's an 8.23 for Stu. Combination is broken. He now needs an 8.21 to take the lead off Kaio Belli. Still 8:45 remaining in round two. Heat number 9. We'll be back at Jeffreys Bay for more action right after this. Welcome back to round 2, heat number 9. Caio Ibelli in the lead over Stu Kennedy. Caio was able to accomplish the Rookie of the Year honor last season over 7 talented rookies that were on tour. It came down to pipeline. Connor Coffin didn't get the score against Kelly, and that was the difference in him taking top honors. Before that, Italo Ferreira, 2015. We had Nat Young accomplish that with 2 finals in 2013. John Florence was battling with Gabriel Medina for that prestigious title in 2012. Also Pupo in that mix. Wilson, Owen Wright still on tour. Keikoa Bacalso won a World Junior title, Rookie of the Year, and then got cut off at the mid-season rotation. I always wanted Keikoa to make a comeback. How about the Dane era? That was incredible. Having him come on tour, battling with Jordy Smith. Dane loves surfing Jeffreys Bay, and before he ended up moving on from full-time competition, he ended up finishing 4th in the world.
Yeah, what a shame. I mean, I would have liked to have had Dane on tour for a few more years. The kid's amazing, but free surfing was his game, and obviously didn't like the competitive side of things. But the who's who of professional surfing has won that award. I mean, it's incredible stuff.
Really cool to look back on that list and just see how much the tour does change. We were reminded of that when you just look at old heat sheets from even a handful of years ago, and so many big names that have moved on or retired or even fallen off the tour. It's so challenging just to keep yourself in that top 22 picture. Caio and Stu, some of the newer faces on tour, I think their careers are just really getting started.
I got something for you. 2014, there was no name there. You know why?
That was tough. 2 rookies that didn't re-qualify.
Yep, so that you can't really have a Rookie of the Year if they don't qualify, right?
That's right. So that was the situation there. Both super talented surfers, and since they were knocked off that first year, they decided to try to get back on the QS to come back, but that left that Rookie of the Year award. So the award came out to the most improved? That's right. And that was John Florence. John, always improving. How's that? Incredible. 5:15 on the clock. It's a big statement just to even qualify after your first year. We always talk about that situation with the greats like Andy Irons. I remember even Timmy Curran. So many big names in surfing that fell off, got back on, and were even stronger. Stu Kennedy talking about stronger. That's exactly what the doctor ordered for the young Aussie. 8.23 gets himself right back in the mix. And now an 8.21 required by Stu Kennedy, just under 5 to go. Well, we had a massive heat right before this one got started. Felipe Toledo gave us our first perfect 10. Toledo's with Rosie Hodge.
Well, Felipe Toledo, welcome back. You know, only a handful of 10s this year, and 2 of them belong to you. What's the secret to getting those big numbers?
Thank you. Yeah, it feels good to be back, you know, especially surfing perfect waves. I don't know, it's just like you have to enjoy, you know, these crazy long walls. And definitely our heat was incredibly amazing, you know. It was pumping like for non-stop, I don't know, 15 minutes non-stop, like just pumping waves. And I don't know, just, you know, just trying to do some big turns and getting some long barrels.
You know, we can't go past the fact that you were up against Kanoe Igarashi in that heat. The last time you guys met, there was that interference. So any kind of electricity in the water between you two?
Not really, you know. I heard people talking about it. Kanoe have nothing to do with that, you know. That was my fault, you know. I made the interference. That was, you know, Kanoe had nothing to do it. And, you know, we're just talking about the exchange here, you know, in the water. We, you know, still friends. So, yeah, and sorry for everybody who watched it, the whole thing in Rio, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm stoked to be back and surfing perfect JBay.
And you're so much fun to watch. You got 9s in your first round heat, now 10s in the second round. How do you maintain, you know, that level throughout the contest and pace yourself? Or do you just take it all one heat at a time and just throw it all at it?
Not surfing, just watching, you know. So the froth level goes over the moon. So you're just like, oh, I can't wait for my heat, and get super excited and go out there and put in a good show. So I think that's my strategy.
All right, well, Cole, and tell us about your hair too. I mean, obviously you had darker hair, now you've got everything going on. What was behind that decision?
Actually, it was great for 2 weeks ago, and then I went to Maldives and I surfed for, I don't know, a lot, and went in the swim pool and whatever, and now it's like going green, but it was great.
Well, I had the same problem with the chlorine, so I get that. Back up to you guys.
Love it. Felipe Toledo enjoying himself in the Maldives right before preparing for Jeffreys Bay. What a professional, moving on quickly from that mishap in Rio, getting an interference. Clearly disappointed when you're an athlete of his caliber. Had to patiently wait for his return to the tour, and what a statement he's made at Jeffreys Bay already.
What a statement is an understatement. That was incredible stuff from Felipe Toledo. You know what, it's I'm excited to watch this year and the next year and even the next 5 to 10 years with this kid. He's just getting bigger and stronger and better, and he's going to get smarter, and he's going to win multiple world titles. I mean, it's the writing's on the wall. He is too good not to, Joe. I mean, what we witnessed today is, you know, right up there with as good as I've ever seen.
Really impressed with what Felipe can do in performance conditions. It's almost untouchable when he's switched on like that and so connected to beautiful waves like this. We're down to 90 seconds. Stu Kennedy got the 8.23 on the previous exchange. He needs another one of those to steal this off Caio. Kennedy now going for it. Minute 25 remaining. First turn solid. Nice vertical. Hits it off the roof again. Steady pace and tempo. He'll blast it off the roof. Needs to finish with no mistakes. Kennedy going for something big. It's the throw tail reverse. This time he can't pull it off. Caio again on the second wave of the set. Flowing through that high line section, traveling through the barrel, looking for an exit way down the line. Caio not making that effort, but it's not too crucial since he kicked off with such a brilliant start. An 8.5, 7.93, and Kennedy going down on the big finishing move.
Unfortunate right there for Stu Kennedy. Did all the hard work. He was on his way. It was a very similar looking wave to his 8.23, wasn't it, Joe? So it was right in that ballpark. He needed to stick that last turn for it to even come close, and unfortunately not to be, but here we go. Let's have a look at it. It was a sort of a medium sizer for Stu Kennedy. Nice opening turn. His beautiful bottom turn off the top turn combo. Little double pump and then bang, straight into it again, giving it a little bit of a tweak there. So showing some variety with all that speed, and then right here, hooking the nose in and just not quite getting the grab properly, Joe. I think he missed the grab maybe, and that board just popped away from him. So unfortunate for Stu Kennedy, and you can see the disappointment from here. Did all the hard work and unfortunately just didn't quite get it. And you can see the scores coming through. Had he finished that wave off, Joe, could have been it.
Probably would have come close. He went for broke. He went for a probably more radical approach than his 8.23 as well, going for a full rotation in a section where you don't see a lot of the guys going for a maneuver like that. So Stu, relying on his strength and his talent to go for it, this time doesn't pull it off. Caio thankful to be moving on, flying all the way to Jeffreys Bay with an injury, knowing he'd have a whole lot cut out for him to perform. And he started off beautifully with the barrel. He was hoping to have barreling conditions for his heats so he could stand tall. And Caio moves on to round 3 action. Coming up next, Ace Buchan takes on Joan Dura at the Corona Open, Jeffreys Bay. It's a wonderful day for pro surfing here in round 2, heat number 10 of the Corona Open JBay, stop number 6 of the World Surf League Championship Tour. Ace Buchan can call himself a seasoned vet. He got to battle alongside some of the greats in the game, from Mark Occhilupo, Andy Irons. He saw it all. He's already picked up 2 wins in his amazing career, and he also is one of the more accomplished goofy footers to take on Jeffreys Bay. He's matched up with a rookie named Joan Duru. This rookie's a little bit different. He's one of the older rookies in his late 20s, been on the QS forever, and he's had a lot to celebrate. Back in 2012, this was a qualifying series event won by De Souza. Well, Joan Duru was in that final in perfect Jeffreys Bay conditions.
Yeah, so no stranger to this place, that's for sure. Nor is Ace Buchan. He's an amazing backhand surfer, and just recently coming off one of his best results in quite some time. Joe made the finals in Brazil in the Oi Rio Pro up against Adriano De Souza, that man you were just talking about. So both these guys have fallen victim to that De Souza in the final. But this is going to be a great battle. The precise, clean, knife-like surfing of Ace Buchan to that raw, powerful, go-for-it attitude from Joan Duru is going to be a great matchup.
Great goofy foot matchup. Ace Buchan from Avoca Beach in the state of New South Wales. His parents are South African, so has a nice connection here when he comes to compete at Jeffreys Bay. Proud father of Ruby and Indigo. Joan Duru, 27. You start thinking of rookies in their late 20s. Kai Otten was one of those guys that qualified in that rain, and well, he had plenty of great years ahead of him, and another goofy foot name that was solid at Jeffreys Bay.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's back in my day, age was an issue, but in this day and age, it's not anymore. I mean, it's these guys can surf well into their late 30s, even early 40s. Keep yourself fit, healthy, and you can continue competing at a high level. I mean, especially with the waves that we have on tour, Jeffreys Bay is one of them.
Ace Buchan decides to grab the first wave of the exchange. Position super deep, so just a little racetrack to get started. Still waiting to go vertical. All that hard work paying off. Nice, healthy top turn wrap. Buchan goes straight up now. And just trying to catch up with his pace of the wave out front. He'll be left behind. Just a couple of turns to get this one started.
Yeah, just, I don't know, maybe just a settle the nerves kind of wave. I mean, he's going to be jumping out of his skin. He's just been watching this place absolutely on fire all day long. So that first wave, you know, your butterflies in your stomach, you're completely amped up, and you've just got to kind of try and settle those nerves. So maybe that was just one of those waves to even things out. You can see Ace Buchan took off further up the point, which I like. You know, I like the fact this is a very long wave. These guys, a lot of the time, are surfing just the lower third of it. Ace Buchan, beautiful turn right there. You can see nice and fired up as he drives down the line and then catches that outside rail, wipes off just enough speed for him not to make that. So not going to be a keeper by the end of the heat, Joe.
Ace Buchan, one of those guys that spends a ton of time with JS, working out his surfboards and his equipment. He was one of those guys that just had different theories of his own as far as flex patterns went throughout the tail. Oftentimes would stick with the FCS1 plugs, even though FCS came out with their second system. He just liked how they felt there was more flex in the tail. He gives immediate feedback to JS if something's working so they can continue on for the rest of the season. So they've had a strong relationship for a long time. Always knows which board he's going to use when it comes down to game time. Always thoughtful in his approach in post-heat interviews. You know how he feels also if he felt something didn't go his way. And he's been around for a long time, so we've seen everything he's got. Yeah, I think his backhand sometimes provides a lot of memories, and then when we show up at Tahiti, you're reminded of his approach out there, which has taken him to victory.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's definitely one to watch at Cloudbreak as well. You know, just that real clinical approach. You know, a couple of event wins under his belt, both of them up against Kelly Slater. One in France, one in Tahiti. But the one in France, too, was a beach break left-hander, so his front side is damaging as well.
Really impressive, and oftentimes these guys are ready to do battle, but Ace always has time for everybody. Ace joined big names like Greg Long, Ramon Navarro, our very own Rosie Hodge, and local Frank Solomon head up the coast of Port Elizabeth with Waves for Change.
Hi! Bananas! I mean, I started Waves for Change because I came from the UK, I came to South Africa, and you realise some people have access to the beach, others don't. So I just wanted to take kids from townships down to the beach and teach them to surf. And everything changed when I asked them, well, kids, why do you come to the beach? And they came because they could talk to someone about their problems. You know, there's abuse at home or there's drug use in the house. Started working with psychologists and universities to develop a surfing program that can help kids deal with a lot of the problems that they're going through.
Waves for Change is just such an inspiring organization. They bring, kids from underprivileged backgrounds and they introduce them to surfing and also interact, make friends and become more confident.
They concentrate on making sure that kids have skills to deal with stress when they are faced with stressful situations.
You're gonna breathe in, and you're gonna think of something good about yourself, and you're gonna breathe out.
The idea of surf therapy, I think it's super progressive, and I think it's something that we should get behind as professional surfers, and trying to share that gift with young kids I think is something really special.
A lot of the kids that we're working with, most of the time they're drawn off when you first started with them, and you're actually seeing them opening up and being friendlier with the coaches. So you can see that, you've made some impact in their lives.
Some of their families live with $1 a month and they literally have nothing. Even if just one kid gets stoked on surfing and changes his life, I think it's worth it.
We train and employ local people from the townships to run the program. So if you want to support us, you can go on our website, wavesforchange.org. You can go on our Facebook page. You can make a small donation. You create jobs. You connect kids to the ocean. It's a really good way to give.
What a special day filled with smiles and laughter, singing, catching waves. I love seeing the smiles on all those kids' faces as we've seen a lot of them at Jeffreys Bay. Ace Buchan, one of the top 34 that wanted to be a part of that special mission. You're going away from JBay where you could be warming up, thinking about your heats. But that's what makes Ace feel good, giving back to these communities. Travels for a long time, and he knows how much that means to him to see a smile on their face, maybe catching the best wave of their life.
Yeah, it's amazing, and the ocean is medicine, man. I tell you, it's therapy just paddling out there and feeling that ocean wash over your body and feel the energy of Mother Nature. It's an incredible thing, and a fantastic effort there from that crew, for sure.
Ace Buchan, 3.5 to start to get the first wave. Now turns into 6.5 on this one, Potts.
Yeah, just getting better and better, and that's what Ace does. We talked about that 3.5 that's going to be gone very shortly. Ace Buchan on his backhand, wasting no time. Obviously, we've got a little bit of a lull in the ocean right now, and he can identify that. Talk about how smart he is. This is why. He just gets those waves and builds his points up. He puts the pressure on his opponents, realizing that it's a little bit of a lull in the action. He's going to get a couple of quick waves under his belt, and there's Ace. He loves that, pumping himself up, getting that claim in, which we love from Ace Buchan. 6.5 extends his lead.
Solid start for Ace, just building on his scores. You just love when surfers are heading that better direction, improving on their wave selection. He wanted to control the start of the heat. Ultimately, put him in a better position to get the 6.5 under Joan Duro's priority. We mentioned Joan Duro's really solid result in 2012 as we continue with Ace. Further down the point, wave number 3. Nice tight jam off the roof. Solid snap for Buchan. Lofty rooftop flute to just cover the distance here. Another one to hammer it shut. I like the difference in variety and the confidence growing for Ace. Duru now hustling down the line just to reposition here.
Yeah, well, it's daunting when you're sitting in a place like Jeffreys Bay and all you hear is the commentators talking about your opponent. Up and riding yet again for Ace, 3 waves in a row. Joan Duru repositioning himself, making sure that he's further down the line now. So hopefully when those big sets come, he's in position. But 3.50, wave number 1 for Ace will be gone in just a second. A couple of nice turns on that previous wave from Ace Buchan.
Really fun to watch. Every turn just a little bit different in those chunky rooftop sections. Ace got enough board speed to take those out and stay on his feet. So mentioned the 2012 final for Duru, but he also got called up as a wild card, Duru, back in 2010 and had a heat with one of the best ever at JBay, Taylor Knox. Duru was able to win that matchup for some early experience. This is what Ace just did.
Yeah, on the way back out, just surging like surfing. Beautiful top turn combo. I love the body position that Ace gets himself in, and there's Sean's least favorite maneuver, the foam climb floater. Tail tapping drop yet again there. So Sean's not going to be too happy with the end of that wave, but it looked good. It's going to build the points. He's going to get rid of that 3.50. I love those first 2 turns that set everything up, and that body position that he gets himself into. Very unique style from Ace Buchan.
So now moving towards your opinion on that maneuver, Potts, that little free-falling float. When is it useful? And is Sean's opinion wanting him to get out in front of that section to do something more dynamic? How do you see it useful here, JBay?
Well, I think Sean likes just the open face maneuvers. I think part of the reason why Sean doesn't like it is because it's a risky maneuver as far as injuries go. You know, you can do those maneuvers, and how many times you land, your back foot slips off your board, there goes your knee. So for me, it's relevant at the end of the wave. I like that floater maneuver to finish off a wave. It's a different way to finish. It's dynamic. It gives you that hang time, and it's the wow factor. So it is relevant as part of surfing. It's a transition maneuver. You can either go down and around the section or up and over. I think it's a little bit more exciting to go up and over. Not too many points are thrown out for those big round bottom turns, but points will be thrown out for those foam climb floaters.
And speaking of excitement, Potts, when you just see this sight when you come to Jeffreys Bay, it's something you'll never forget. Corduroy lines to the horizon.
Yeah.
For these two, it's just up to them to pick which one they want. Duru already up and riding. There's a little free fall float to get started. Full wrap out in front, deep off the bottom. It's going to hit up on the roof again. Beats the section with that maneuver. Now off the roof for a hammer. Nice jam off the top. Surfer representing France throws a vertical to finish. An awkward landing. Will he bring himself back up? And he's down. Ace to answer. Huge vert right on the money. Now pulling into a runaway barrel.
And more waves out the back, Joe. There's a couple for you and me out there. Look at this big set. Probably one of the biggest sets we've seen so far. And there is no one out there to get it. This is the biggest set of the day. And even the boats out the back, the jet skis all running for cover. Solid waves here at Jeffreys Bay. And this could be the little kick in the swell.
Unbelievable seeing this sight. What a sight for the fans on the beach. Strider, how are they feeling right now, seeing Jeffreys Bay come to life?
Are you kidding me? This is just like a dream come true for everybody. The competitors, everybody on the beach, myself. I think we all are enjoying what's happening right now, and to see the waves this good in an event, it's just a huge plus. I mean, the competitors area and all the surfers themselves and the coaches, the vibe is just through the roof. It's like Michel Perez was almost mad that he couldn't surf right now. Pissed off because the waves are so perfect. He just wants to be out there. And he's hoping for the same tomorrow, as the forecast looks amazing as we get into the next couple of days as well. But wow, to see this, to feel this, the energy of the crowd, everybody's just psyched, and the comfort that they've got. I mean, up in the Casa Corona, or on the grandstands, or the competitors in the competitors area, or just down on the beach. I mean, it's amazing down there just to sit in the warm sand and watch the event, and then you can get out even onto the bricks and watch. And it's just almost, but you're out there by yourself watching perfect waves roll by. It's an amazing event to be at.
Well, Strider, how different are the fans here at Jeffreys Bay compared to different venues on the championship tour?
Well, they're definitely enthusiastic. They're definitely huge fans of the sport, and interestingly enough, there's a lot of high fives and a lot of hellos and a lot of respect paid to all the surfers and to the fellow commentators and everything else. They've been coming up and being really, really cool, but they're really give you your space. They're not really too in your face. The little Groms are loving it over the top, and they're all over you, as they should be. But everybody else kind of a nice chilled backdrop. But look at these waves. I mean, Joan Duru on the backhand just coming up, slams it into the lip there. Beautiful turn off the bottom. Bingo again. Buckets out the back. Christmas trees everywhere for this guy. Does a nice transition floater, then throws it straight back up in there for another one. So really great surfing right there from Joan. He's not done yet. He twists up. The fellow competitors just really talking through that too as he was riding the wave and listening to what they were saying. And there's a lot of support behind the Frenchman. So really fun to watch that and to see and hear the competitors watching the event, watching fellow surfers, and the support that they gave everybody is amazing.
Good man, Strider. We're feeling the energy right there with you. Joanne Dura is feeling the support from the fans here at Jeffreys Bay. And Potts, I noticed that theme kind of continuing what Strider was talking about. The fans just enjoying the pro surfers on their lineup. It was interesting during the lay day where you thought maybe every local would be out there mixing it up. Most people were getting a spot on the beach, bringing their lunch down, and it was almost like watching professional athletes just warming up on their playing field. They got to enjoy the show in the lead up to the heats, really creating a really healthy sporting atmosphere.
You know what, Joe, I was surfing Boneyards the other day, and I was talking to one of the local guys, and he said, not surprisingly, but he said he was amazed at how much of a gentleman that the pro surfers are, how cool they are, how giving they are. They're letting the locals go on waves, they're sharing waves. It's not that they're out there to try and catch every single thing that moves. So, you know, the locals impressed with the attitude from the professionals. We're all super respectful when we come to someone else's home break. You're not there just to rape and pillage and grab whatever you can. You know, we're there to share and get everyone else involved and get them stoked on what's going on. So good on the boys for showing respect.
And one thing the locals are, they're not wave starved. They're well surfed, and this season has been one of the best. I saw Steven Sawyer, the wild card who was in this event last year. He said this year has been the best year of his life for waves around the Jeffreys Bay area, and said he's been getting absolute gems right out front at supers. Right into Ace Bucking here, looking to protect his lead. Solid movement into the barrel after a couple of big turns. Now with a ton of speed, he's winding up for the roof. Clean carve again for Buckin. He's got the lip to hit. A big backhand float into the flats. Fighting for the finish. Oh. That one's going to take him down.
Wow, just didn't quite make that. That's where that maneuver is relevant. Right at the end there where you go for that, just that extra distance, that dramatic finish. A bit of drama involved, doesn't go astray, Joe.
That's right. He was just fighting to get on his feet. He knew that would have been a massive score for the commitment over the bricks.
Yeah.
Looking to better a 6.5 for that effort. His doer before that chasing a 6.64 with 15 minutes remaining.
Well, Ace Buckin, I mean, he hasn't been able to get back up to the top of the reef this whole heat. On the way back out, these waves keep marching around the corner, so Ace is obliged to have to go. Beautiful turn here. I love the speed. Pulls up nice and tight there. Perfect positioning, little cover up. And then watch this high line. That's one thing I love about Jeffreys Bay. You get your board humming down the line and then just slashing into it. Comes off the bottom, up and into the lip. And this is that foam climb, that lip top floater, that free fall drop, that drama that's involved. And Ace Buckin almost slipped off the tail, and that's that part of the maneuver that Sean doesn't like that much, because guess what? You can really hurt yourself.
So Ace Buckin going down on that finishing section. Going for broke, had a solid rhythm before that. One of the more successful goofy foots here at Jeffreys Bay. He's been in a semifinal in the past, quarterfinal series a couple times in his career. We were talking about Damian Hobgood maybe being one of the more successful goofies at Jeffreys Bay without a win. I caught up with Damian just about an hour ago, and he was just saying he did watch hockey tapes all day long. He said he's noticed Italo Ferreira has been one guy doing the same thing and making the difference there. Damian's best feeling was just going as fast as he could. The bigger, he said, the better for the goofies. His doer is winding up. Speed turn off the top, beautiful arcing carve, holding the rail off the bottom into a beautifully timed vertical hack. Wants a jam in the mid-face for a potential barrel, but he's flying. Another big hack in the pocket, powerfully wraps it again. Still some room to move. Looking to time a big float, air jump. He's straight in the flats. Wow. Not holding back whatsoever.
Well, I'll tell you what, those legs were starting to burn right there, and you could tell by that last maneuver, they were quivering. There's Joanne Daru. Just didn't quite finish that one off, but is definitely going to be a wave that is going to get him straight back into this heat. There goes Ace Buckin's last wave. Joe, it's betters his situation.
It's a nice treat just having two goofy footers going blow for blow to really make their comparisons here. Former world champ Sean Thompson What do you think about this matchup? Catching up with Sean Thompson. He's a popular man behind the scenes. Everyone wants to say hello. One of the nicest guys you'll meet on land and in the water. Calling people into waves. Sean's been surfing every single chance he gets.
He wasn't that nice when you competed against him.
Really? Yeah, I don't see that side anymore.
He was a vicious competitor, let me tell you.
He is full of stoke, and I bet he's stoked on this matchup. Sean, what do you think about Ace versus Joan Duru on your favorite wave here?
Yes, I think it's a fantastic matchup. Both of the guys are going blow for blow. I thought that last wave with Joan Duru was maybe the best backside wave that I've seen since the contest started. His, those massive searing bottom turns and those vertical power carves off the top were great. Right at the end of the wave, he lost it on that free fall floater. That free fall floater today in the wind backside seems to really slow you down. Yes, it can be an effective maneuver on the front side, very difficult and very dangerous on the backside. But those huge carving arcs that he was managing to pull and putting that board absolutely vertical in the most critical situation on the wave, that's really what the judges are looking for. They want that commitment. They want guys that are taking chances. I mean, look at this whack, such speed and power off the top. And then another one right there. Really critical surfing. It was, that's such a treat to see.
Amazing approach of power from Joan Duru, really impressing. Sean Thompson calling one of this wave maybe one of the best he's ever seen from a backsider, and even trying to launch himself into the flats on the float. Duru earns a 9-point ride. 2-point spread from Ace Buckensglass at a 7.0. Duru's out in front, and another top-seeded red jersey's in trouble now. 10:45 to go.
Well, it's that experience that Joan Duru's got here. So even though he's a rookie on tour, Joe, he's not really a rookie. He's got a lot of experience. You can tell by the way the guy surfs. He's got confidence. He carries that. It's just the confidence in his maneuvers, the maneuver choice, the power that he brings. I mean, once this kid finds his feet on the tour, which he's slowly doing, he's going to be a danger man, that is for sure.
And that's probably what Damien Hobgood was talking about, bigger sets. Damien said he felt like he had an advantage even over regular footers when it got a bit bigger out here. But Duru, he's attacking. He's hitting the lip hard. Every point looks like he's going 100%. Now Ace Buck in pocket sevens at the moment. Needs a 8.88 to get the lead back. He is sitting with priority. One of the smartest guys on tour when it comes to decision making. So Ace is digging deep right now, Potts.
Yeah, well, don't be surprised if he digs his way out of this one, because he's got the ability, he's got the knowledge, he's got the know-how. He's got 9 minutes and 45 seconds to do it, so plenty of time. The ocean has been very consistent throughout the day. I can't see it slowing down just yet. So Ace Bucking out the back, he's got priority, so he's just got to be very patient right now. And at this level, maybe it is a bit hard to be patient. Do I go the first one? Do I wait for the second one? Do I give my opponent the first wave and let him better his situation? There's so many things that go through your mind. You've got to try and quieten that noise between your ears and just focus on the job at hand.
Let's focus on positioning, Potts. So swell like today, how easy is it to find your mark and where to sit? I know sometimes you're shaking because you want people to go up higher. How do you like the positioning right now where Ace has decided to sit?
Well, it's kind of where they've been sitting all day. I mean, there's been a couple of heats. Felipe Toledo and Kanoa Igarashi sat further up. I mean, that heat was constantly big sets coming through. So the bigger the wave, the further up the point you can go. Now, back in the day when there was a bit more sand flowing off the dunes, the wave was easier to make from further up. Now, with less sand there, it kind of sections at a certain size. So you've got to really pick that part of the wave that you want. What's the best scoring potential on this point break? And I think Ace and Joanna are in the right spot.
Duru under priority of Ace, already with the lead, looking to better a 6.87. Lofty backhand float, lands with control, but nothing left for Joanna on the inside corner. That one not affecting his top two at the moment. Duru, another all-star at the last events at the Outer Known Fiji Pro, showing that he's solid at cloud break in Fiji in his first call-up to that venue. So this rookie on the move. Joan Duru has been one of those big names on the QS for several years. He was in that conversation like Stu Kennedy before him, where he was almost one spot in or out of qualifying. This year it finally came true. And sometimes it's nice to be an older rookie on tour. Remember when, I think maybe the oldest rookie, remember Poncho Sullivan when he qualified? He was already in his 30s. And he came out blazing, finaled at lowers, ended up finishing in the top 10.
Yep.
But he had all the experience behind him of just being an amazing free surfer his whole life and then applying all that knowledge to the championship tour.
You know, plus when you're an older rookie, the top guys aren't inclined to push you around, you know. Like, hang on a sec, I'm not a kid, right? I'm a grown man, and that's the difference. You know, you're smarter, you know, you've got the beef, you've got the strength, and the top guys can't afford to mess around with you. So Johan Daru's in that category. I mean, he's a big, solid kid, and coming into his own. I mean, coming off a great result in Fiji, he's looking sharp here. I mean, the job's not done yet. Ace is still in this game, 8.88 required, but the next event too, watch him go nuts at Chopu as well. I mean, he's going to be dangerous there. And then Pipeline at the end of the year. I mean, this kid serves good in heavy water waves.
What an exciting heat. 6:50 to go. Duro's still out in front. Now we get a chance to catch up with Caio Ibelli. Caio's with Rosie Hunch.
Well, Caio making the most of that lineup. It seemed like that second wave of the set was just the gift for you. Even on Stewie's priority, you were able to get the better of the exchange and surfing so well.
Oh, thank you. When the heat started, like, I think I waited for the right wave to start, and yeah, it was so much easier after I got the 8.5. I had a lot of patience and kind of was trying to work with my nervous. After coming back from injury, my mind's just being really tricky, and I was kind of like not very positive this week. I haven't surfed very well the whole free surf. My ankle hurts, and I had a hard time finding the board, and just last night I gave up, and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna let everything flow naturally. I can't force anything more, and I just picked a board that I thought would work good for this condition. Stoked to make through this round and be back on tour.
And how validating is that? I mean, you mentioned just letting go and letting it all happen, but to actually get that win against someone like Stu Kennedy, that's got to give you a lot of confidence.
Yes, for sure. We had the first heat together, and he had a couple sevens, and I couldn't even surf. At that point, I was mentally frustrated and kind of unhappy, and now I'm like taking that pressure out of my shoulders. Now my ankle feels a lot better every single day, and I'm letting my ankle rest as much as I can, and surf good waves helps a lot, and I'm super stoked to be in JBay. This is the best JBay I ever surfed in my life, and it's so fortunate for us to have this wave firing all day to compete.
And we think about your performance at Bells Beach, making the final, can't help but draw similarities in the waves, so that's also got to be something in the back of your mind where you can draw a lot of positives.
Yes, for sure. It's just everything after Bells, felt everything was going really good until I got hurt, and I'm like, now I have to reset and go back to where I was, and the ankle, just a slow process. It feels like it takes so long for you to get somewhere, and when you get injured, it takes so slow for you to climb back up. And yeah, but I'm doing everything I can. I'm more positive after this win, and I'm stoked, and I'm psyched to surf next heat.
Well done, Caio. Go look after that ankle.
Thank you, Rosie. Caio Ibelli, happy to survive a tough matchup there on paper, especially being injured as we fly down the line with Ace Buchan. Ace, set up carve, feeling his way off the top again, and has to get out. Bucket left searching for a lot of points there. An 8.88 still on the line to turn this one on the rookie Johan Duru.
Yeah, I mean, that's classic right there. Jeffreys Bay, one of the best waves in the world, and especially today it's on fire, but there are still those lemons out there. Unfortunately, Ace using his priority on a substandard wave that is not going to do him any good, that's for sure. Johan Duru now out the back with priority. 3.5 minutes to go. Sets marching around the corner. Can Johan Duru better that 6.87 and put this thing just a little bit out of touch for Ace?
All the surfers are just talking about the concept of not over-frothing, over-amping. That starts on land when you're watching the waves pump all day. Then it transitions when you have priority and you see all these waves coming right towards you. Potts, which one do you want?
I just want them all. Give them all to me. Look at this big set coming through right now. I think wave number 3. There's that first one that's gone through. Johan Duru is looking at the second wave. There's even one behind it. So this is an important exchange right here.
Duru locks in, uses priority. Speed jam off the roof. Another big weightless float. A lot of commitment down to the end section, but he's down. Next wave is bigger. Ace is considering it. And he will roll in. Bucket needs an 8.88 here. Arcs a carve, speed line past Duru. Big section to work with. Rocket float, but he can't hang on.
I'm going to have to say it, Joe. Bad maneuver choice right there for Ace, because that wave barreled off down the line. Look at this. As he jumps off, that thing just kept tubing down the line there. He could have snuck under that. He could have got a couple more turns in. Who knows? It's easy to sit here and say that. It's a lot more difficult to do it in the heat of the moment. You're looking at a stretched out line. You look at him looking back at that wave going, there's one that got away, Joe.
Tough feeling for Ace Bucket. Let's see what happened here.
Yeah, look at the good size, solid wave here for Ace. Mid-face turn, keeps the high line. Now he draws down off the bottom. What does he do? Into the lip, didn't quite get the projection, and he goes down, and as he goes down, look at that thing. He could have been sitting in a wide open tube, and as I said before, Joe, it's easy to sit here and say that. It's a lot more difficult once you're in the heat of the moment.
And you imagine as a surfer going for a big score, you see a section, you don't want to pass it up, went for the float, goes down. So Ace Bucket could be facing another equal 25th. He's had a couple of those already this season. He's protected, though, by a big final where he's runner-up to De Souza at Saquarema, which is still keeping him as a higher seed. Under pressure into the final minute. Sean Thompson, you mentioned for the backsiders, going for floats like that, it's pretty risky.
Yeah, you know, I think from the very beginning of the event, I've been harping that, banging that same drum. If you're a backsider and you're doing those big floaters, you made a mistake somewhere a little bit earlier. You can see Ace here going for, you know, he kind of gets stuck halfway up there, and once he commits to it, instead of jamming down, he's trying to float. It's the most dangerous maneuver I think a surfer can do. He's looking at a broken ankle there if he landed back on his board, and also it's not like the maneuver is a big points getter, so you might as well, if you're a goofy footer, just stay away from that floater. It slows you down and you can risk a broken ankle.
Thank you, Sean. As we watch Bucket, 12 seconds to go. Left searching at 8.88, and he's going to surf this one with all he's got. A couple of big backside hacks. This one's going to shut down quickly, and he'll turn around to see Joan Duru getting the last wave of the matchup. Joan, a solid rookie, finding success in Fiji, gaining momentum at Jeffreys Bay, where he finaled at the qualifying series level. At QS, scored maybe some of the more perfect conditions of any event here at Jeffreys Bay. So you know, with a solid swell, Joan Duru is going to capitalize with his experience, flying to South Africa many times in the past, and takes out one of the favorite goofy foots in this event. Ace Bucket left chasing an 8.88. The rookie continues to heat up here on the championship tour.
Yeah, great result for Joan Duru, coming off a good result in Fiji, keeping that momentum going. The deadly round number 2 and a red jersey goes down again, Joe.
Exciting times with supers absolutely firing here for the Corona Open here at Jeffreys Bay. Next heat, Wiggly Dantes takes on Hawaii's Ezekiel Lau. We'll be bringing in Ronnie Blakey and former big wave champ Pete Mel for the call.
Welcome back to the show, and what a show it is. Super Jubes coming alive on day 6 of our event window here at the Corona Open, JBay. Amazing performances and another big heat about to hit the lineup. Ronnie Blakey here with Pete Mel. Pete, what have you made it today so far? It's been pretty mind-blowing.
I can barely breathe, Ronnie. It really is, not only from the cold, but this performance is being on, and exactly who came to the party? Jeffreys Bay. What a call. Letting that wind kind of abate and turn to the better direction, which we've seen today. Tide drop out. And it's been an incredible day.
Some really good JBay surfers too falling out of the mix, and some big opportunities for the lower seeds to make a jump up the Jeep leaderboard. Right now we're going to see Wiggly Dontis and Ezekiel Lau go head-to-head for the second time this season. And it's another grudge match. I love it because these two had a very close exchange over there at the Oi Rio Pro in this same round. And it was Wiggly just squeaking ahead of Zeke in a heat that some people thought the Hawaiian should have won.
Maybe. They've also competed probably in backgammon, bocce ball, and maybe some cards, because these guys stay together quite often.
Well, they do, and here we go. It's Zeke getting started early.
Big wrap. I mean, completely all the way around, and a layback to match it up, show some variety, and a barrel. I mean, so what a start. As this wave unloads down the line, so strong. I mean, this would be a place that you would obviously think that his talents would be on display. On the forehand, we saw him do well at Bells Beach. So a big right-hand point breaks, and he unloads on this wave. Now that was power surfing at its finest.
Love that finishing turn, really letting it all hang out on that final section. Wiggly Dontis, the very sharp, goofy footer, also had a strong opener.
Well, you'd say some of the strongest backhands to match here at JBay, this would be one of them. Loves to throw a ton of spray off the tail block, has perfect timing, and he's showing it right now as you see the waves are going off. The tide's starting to fill back in. You know, it felt like it got a little too low there for a moment today, and now with that tide starting to push a little bit, it's on the reef more, and it's just that canvas and perfect speed all the way down the line. So great exchange to start this heat off.
An excellent exchange, an 8-point ride for Wiggly Dontis. Ezekiel Lau getting an 8.43. Big statement maneuvers from Zeke, weren't they? They were a lot of power, a great mix-up in variety. Hard to find that variety on the backhand, but Wiggly doing well just to keep in check with this regular footer. And a very close heat about to unfold.
Big challenge for the judges when you have this long of a wave. You're not really able to watch just one surfer at a time, because they were back to back. So they were literally looking back and forth in between maneuvers. So, you know, the scores come out a little bit better for Ezekiel Lau, but it could have been maybe slightly better just because of the impact of his turns. I mean, if you look at this, I mean, about the same size, right? I would say maybe Wiggly might have a tiny bit more bigger wave, but I love that you get the wraparound cutback and he carves off the whitewash coming back. But these big statement turns, like you said, where he really accentuates and extends himself. You know, that's a committed turn when you're able to lay it out, which he does right there. You see how he opens up his gut, extends his legs and his arms. I mean, because you have to come back from that and keep the speed going, which he does. I mean, there, again, bringing the arm in forward rather than the lay back. And then a vertical tagged it, too, hard. I like that wave.
29 minutes to go. 8.43 on the board for the Hawaiian. You said a word during the replay of Wiggly's ride, which I think is going to be his weapon here, and it was timing. You know, JBay is all about timing. You get your timing wrong in the first couple of turns, and you're chasing the wave down the line. You're just trying to get back in front of it to set up a big turn, and Wiggly, he just always seems to get the hammer to strike the nail right on the head at the perfect time.
It's so true, you know, and I think a lot of the reason why we see so much spray come off his rails is that timing, where he places that turn and at the right exact time when the vertical face is there, so it sends the spray out the back. And he also does a pivot at the same time as he's carving through the turn. I mean, there's guys on that backhand will like literally just place the board there, but he'll actually place the board there and then quickly carve through it, and that's why the spray goes flying off the rail.
Sean Thompson, a man who spent plenty of time in this lineup watching that first exchange unfold. What did you think, Sean?
Yeah, I thought it was a really great exchange. I think the major differential between the two was the tremendous variety that Zeke Lau, the big Hawaiian ex-graduate of Kamehameha School, showed. You know, first the roundhouse cutback, then that layback, then the tube ride, then that kind of big mid-face hack when, like Peter said, he really opened up his body, and then the huge jam at the end there. While Wiggly's wave was a lot more repetitious, even though his maneuvers were fast, fluid, and very vertical, there was a sameness to them, and I think that was perhaps the difference between the 8 and the 8-4, but definitely outstanding surfing from both of them.
For sure. I think, Sean, you and I were working together on this event back in the day. Bobby Martinez was surfing in the event, and he seemed to have a great amount of variety on the backhand because he had a backhand carve that he could draw out like a frontside carve almost.
Yeah, he did. Certainly Wiggly's carves were very vertical. They were very vertically orientated as opposed to kind of a huge carve down the line, an Oki-esque carve or Bobby Martinez-esque carve. But I just thought there was a lot of repetition in that wave, and I think in order to beat Zeke, who's throwing down a number of maneuvers, certainly Wiggly has to expand and open up his repertoire.
Definitely. It was funny, though, that event over there at Sakurama, Pete, that you were working on. Wiggly Dantes, he used his repetition to get the win over Zeke. Zeke was throwing more maneuvers at the judges, but Wiggly, with just the amount of water he moves, can often kind of steal the limelight from his rivals.
I would agree because his turns are so high impact as well. I mean, there's a ton of spray. I mean, there is slight variation in what he's doing here, but yeah, I mean, his carves, you can see he carves through them and then he'll snap through them. But generally, you'll see so much spray that they do look very similar. I mean, there's that finish move. I mean, the connection with the lip that Wiggly is able to have, too, I think that's very critical, and the judges have to score it. They have to give it, even though it may look somewhat repetitious. You know, whereas Zeke's going out in the face and his carves are, out in the face more, right? So it's not as critical. The section is not as critical where he's doing those turns, but they're committed because he's laying it out. And I think that's the difference, but he also brought the barrel and then the finish move, too, which is in a very critical section as well. But you see how he goes out in the face and he lays it out? I like that variety comes from that. But, you know, the critical section is that little spot right between the whitewater and the open face. And that's where Wiggly's timing, he puts it right in that critical section.
Well, Zeke slammed it right there in the pocket on that last section. He's out in front at the moment.
I mean, if you look at the scoring there, most of the judges gave Zeke slightly higher. Only one judge saw it the other way, which was Wiggly had the 8, and the same judge gave it Zeke Lau 7.8. But other than that, there's a half-point higher pretty much across the board.
He must be a goofy footer. 24 and a half minutes to go. Just thinking about some of the best backhand performances that we've seen out here over the years. It has been a long time since we've had a goofy-footed winner. Oki in 84. Luke Egan also had a victory here at JBay in a specialty event, but there has been some finalists over the years. Damien Hobgood cracked 2 finals here in 2003 against Kelly, in 2009 against Joel Parkinson, Mick Lowe against Mick Fanning in 2002. Nathan Hedge made the final against Andy Irons in 2004, but when you start thinking about strong performances from goofy footers in more recent times, Kai Otten semi-finaled here in 2009, and then it's been a strong showing from some of the more current members of the championship tour, Matt Wilkinson, Owen Wright and Adrian Buchan with semi-final performances here. So they have been close, and when you think about the surfers that are beating them in those semis, and you know, they're really coming up against surfers that are regarded as the greatest ever at this location. Guys like Fanning, Parkinson, and Slater, Geordie Smith as well.
All regular foots. I mean, but Aki's one that we all can look back and reflect on. And I think the difference for me personally is that Aki does have that variety on his backhand, that carve down the face, very similar to the Bobby Martinez type carve. When you can kind of have that, it's actually what Sean was saying about those backside turns where you accelerate through the top turn rather than decelerate, because a lot of times you will decelerate, especially when you're doing those type of turns where you're going to throw the spray out and you're hooking the turn. Whereas if you're able to accelerate and down carve it, it shows that variety, but it's also great for JBay to keep you flowing down the line.
Well, we loved the goofy footer battle that just unfolded. It was a great heat between Adrian Buchan and John Deroux, and the Frenchman getting the win and moving through to round 3. He's with Rosie Hodge.
Well, coming off a fantastic result in Fiji, surfing super tubes, it's pumping. This must be what being a rookie on tour is all about, John.
Yeah, it's pumping, so it's so stressful. You just want to get on the good wave and don't fall, and it's pretty stressful to wait at the back and don't take a small one because you want to go on everywhere, so it's really hard to choose and to wait the good one.
And just tell us about, you've spent so many years trying to qualify for this tour, but now you have such a maturity in your surfing and it's starting to show through. Is this the potential that you want to reach on this tour?
Yeah, I don't know. I was trying. Now I am here. I just want to make good, and I did good in Fiji, so I was taught. So try to make a couple hits here and see what happens next.
And I noticed you traveling with your family. How special is that to share, this place with them?
Yeah, it's so good. My mom is here, and yeah, it's a good time. She cooks for me, so that's really easier. It's like healthy and good food, so that's really help, and it's love to have her here.
John, thank you for your time. We'll see you in round 3.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Rosie. Joan Deroux enjoying a bit of kudu bouffe, le bouffe over here. But the guy's got a sledgehammer for a back foot and he just hammers the lip. I love watching him surf. Zeke Lau out there at the moment on the hunt for a backup number. Great start to this exchange.
What was interesting watching Zeke Lau and his coach, Jake Patterson, they actually came in, they had a bit of a discussion and literally went back to the house, took the video camera and reviewed the morning surf this morning. So again, I think that instantaneous ability to go and watch the footage, literally the day, the same kind of swell, so you can kind of make those adjustments right there on the fly. I mean, he was surfing good this morning, but I feel like those adjustments really have helped out Zeke because he showed a lot of variety and they must have talked about a few things, and it's been paying off for Zeke because his performance so far, it looks like he's been learning a few things on the tour. Take a look at the replay here. Carries a ton of speed through the first maneuver. Again, he's able to get that carve cut back, which you don't see that often here. Literally all the way around and redirecting off the foam, which is a good ability to have, and carry a ton of speed and still make it back down the line. Again, he did the same thing, a full roundhouse cutback. So good healthy mix down into this inside section here. Just trying to back up that 8.43 with a solid score, which he's done. He's going to get another wave that's going to be right there near excellent.
Love it.
Take a look at the slow-mo here. I mean, that's the thing too, is that with the ability to slow-mo, they can really dissect how the board's going. And you get to try out a couple different boards and make those adjustments. But right now, it feels like Zeke has dialed in his equipment and what he needs to do on these waves in order to get bigger scores. Because look at that, there it is. He's got another excellent wave.
Just under 19 and a half minutes to go. Another big number coming the way of the Hawaiian, an 8.03. What do you think is turning the judges on at the moment about Zeke surfing, Sean Thompson?
Well, what I love about it is the variety and the uncertainty. The judges really don't know what's coming next. And generally the high scores are often awarded if a guy gets that barrel and the judges don't know he's coming out and then he comes out, you're going to get a high score. And with Zeke, you really never, you never really know what's coming next. With Wiggly surfing way more predictable, even though he's surfing super fast, his timing is superb. There is that differentiating factor between uncertainty and predictability.
Well, let's see what Wiggly can bring to the party here as we see Dolphins out the back. Beautiful first turn. You can't argue with that kind of commitment. And again, bashing away at the pocket of this wave. A couple of well-timed hits. He gets caught up behind here for just a moment, but still trying to stick with this one. But it's going to outrun him. But what about those two major hits, Pete?
They were solid. I wish he could have been able to finish this wave, though. I really feel like it makes it tough the judges to throw big scores without really truly finishing the wave here at JBay. It's about the whole presentation. But you know what? Those 3 tags out the back, again, had a little bit of difference. I mean, he was able to, this wave stood up for him on that outside section, which of course gave him that ability to really release the tail. This one he carves down a little bit more. Still a bit more of a snap, and then the third turn here, whacked it vertical. And then this wave runs off without him. He wasn't able to get there and finish the ride, so it felt like we wanted to see just a little bit more, and so we're left kind of waiting. Darn it, we didn't get to see a finish move.
Yeah, it's like Zeke's out there just serving up 3-course meals.
We didn't get dessert.
And Wiggly on that occasion, just a big hunk of
I love
steak
my desserts too
on that ride, but not much else, unfortunately. It kind of ran away from him, but 2 big hits. I'm still expecting a pretty solid number here.
I would say so. I believe that it is going to be a pretty good number because of those 3 massive turns. You know, good size set wave.
So the judges are having to think about it.
Yeah.
That was a good size wave, and he did not hold back on that first section. Sometimes here at JBay,
sometimes there's a good meal without dessert.
You're forced to race down the line without getting that big major turn. The wave, it stretches out forever. You can get a lot of speed before digging into that turn. On that occasion, Wiggly able to drop to the bottom and hammer straight up onto the lip.
And he was consecutive with those turns. It was top to bottom, straight out of the gates. There were very high impactful turns, much bigger than his turns that he had on his earlier wave.
So Wiggly needs an 8.46 here. And the first number that we can see on the board in front of us is pretty impressive. Great heat.
It is. It's exactly what we wanted here at the end of the day. Keep us fired up.
And I mean, last time these guys met, I mentioned earlier, there wasn't much separating them. Wiggly got the win with a 15.6 heat score total. Zeke just behind him, 15.26. Well, they're almost up around the same numbers already. Zeke currently holding the lead with a 16.46. So a little bit higher this exchange, and it looks like Wiggly might put up something pretty solid. He might even snatch the lead here.
Well, again, needing the 8.46. And he's just seeing the numbers now.
So very close. But at this stage, it looks like it might just fall short. Waiting on one last judge to lock in their score for this ride. 15.5 minutes to go. And it is an 8.37, so not the 8.48 that Wiggly was after, but close. And now he needs an 8.1. He has narrowed the margin.
You can see he's got that ear cocked, listening in to the beach commentary.
So Wiggly back in 21st position on the ratings at the moment. And you can sense some urgency for a big result here because he's in that danger zone. It's a dangerous place to be hovering this time of the year because guys behind you on the ratings, they're even more hungry. They've had less heat wins. So they're even more desperate for a big result. You've got to watch them. And with a few people falling out of the mix ahead of Wiggly, he can, you know, really improve his position on that leaderboard with a huge finish.
With Tahiti coming up, I think that he's an impeccable barrel rider. Pipeline, another wave that he has got a great affinity with. So, you know, he's got some strengths coming forward, but this is a great place for his backside. It's his very strong backside, you know, to move himself up the rank and give him to the comfort zone.
So 4 waves ridden in this heat, all of them going to the excellent range. Beautiful conditions here at Super Tubes. And the swirl lines just keep rolling our way. Just under 14 minutes to go. A super appreciative crowd on the beach, letting these surfers know how much they appreciate those big committed turns. Wiggly, he's been making a lot of phone calls to some of the world's best shapers. He's been experimenting a lot with different equipment this year.
He has, you know, and still feeling like he's probably searching. I mean, he's always been that way, though. I mean, he's had boards off stretch, Chili, Mayhem, Burn, right? So, I mean, that's just to name a few just in the last year or two. And I'm sure he's had other shapers as well. So, yeah, searching a little bit, but trying to kind of keep things, spicy, keep a little extra spice in life.
Well, whatever he's riding at the moment looks pretty sharp under his feet. Just under 13 minutes to go here. Zeke Lau out in front. Wiggly Dantes chasing him down. Welcome back to the Corona Open. 11 minutes remaining, back to live action. Wiggly Dantes, the Brazilian, working this wave over, chasing down an 8.1 to get back into the lead here. Zeke Lau in a great position, holding an 8.43 and an 8.03. Wiggly not too far behind. He has an 8.37, chasing that 8.1 right behind him. Zeke Lau locked into the barrel, but it looks like he has gone down.
Ooh, that was a critical error because Zeke was on his way to another big score. See if Wiggly as well were able to improve. Just trying to think, that gut instinct right out of the gates. You watch, he had to chase the beginning of this wave. But again, he got that big round cutback roundhouse where he gets all the way back around to the whitewash. Nice strong maneuver again, throwing lots of spray and then goes for the barrel. But then gets a little greedy in that smaller waves. They don't hit that shallow portion as well. And they don't stay as open. But again, Wiggly extending through those maneuvers that time. No speed, gets the float, but pulls it down. And then two nice carbs. So trying to improve on an 8.0 here. A little smaller wave, but he does finish. So it's going to be close. Let's see if, again, needs 0.1 more. 8.1. I don't know. It's right there. This is a tough heat to judge because you got the contrasting styles in forehand to backhand. It's not like there's really a distinct differences between these guys' waves. I mean, the strength and repetition of Wiggly, a little more vertical, so you could say those are critical turns, and then you've got the variation from Zeke Lau.
But that wave did kind of force Wiggly to go to what we'd call in-betweeners, just those little turns that don't really collect you many points. The thing that impresses me about Zeke is once he makes a decision that he's going to go for a turn, he puts everything into it. Just the body language, there's so much energy being expelled in each of those moves. It's awesome to watch.
Yeah, they're kind of slow for the judges to get it out there. They know they have that time. So once again, they'll do that comparison. Digest it a bit.
I'm going to touch wood as I say this, but this has been one of the most consistent days of competition for Jeffries that we've seen. A lot of quality set waves in each of the exchanges. Not too often we've seen a surfer sitting out there, with the clock winding down without opportunities to chase down big numbers. So this heat, no different. Every score that has been logged has been pretty solid so far. And Wiggly, he might not get there with this wave, Pete, but it's going to be another pretty impressive number.
Love your analysis of this. I mean, this is, you know, you've spent a lot of time here in JBay and on tour. Do you feel like this wave was going to be enough to improve?
Now, like I said, it just felt like he was forced to go to in-betweeners, and even though he had more variety in this ride, when you start thinking about the major turns that he was able to let go, that again, it was that backhand snap that was sort of what he was having to lean on to get those major moves done. It was a 7.7 in the end, so Wiggly still after that 8.1. 7.5 minutes to go. Doesn't look like Zeke's last ride is going to factor into the heat at all.
I think you're right. It's been very consistent. You know, generally you'll have these 35-minute heats, and there'll be 10 or 15-minute lulls, you know, throughout the day that'll happen in heats. Doesn't feel like that even happened once today.
I'll tell you when it happened. It happened in the first heat of the day, and that's really the only one. And what a shame for Ethan Ewing, because he just looked so switched on this morning, and it looked like he was ready to give Owen a really good challenge. But he was the one guy that, you know, was praying for a set to come rolling around the corner at the end.
I hope
of his
Ethan's got his bookings in Tahiti right now, and he's flying over to the South Pacific and going to go park it there for a little while.
I have heard whispers that Shane Dorian might be heading over to work with Ethan over there this year, so that would be a huge advantage for Ethan, because Shane Dorian, one of the best at that location.
For sure. I mean, it's such a great attitude too. They almost kind of have almost similar demeanors, so maybe they would kind of click in.
Well, just over 6 minutes to go. And Sean Thompson, we know these two had a close heat over in Brazil. Zeke Lau, he lost that exchange. It looks like he means business out here at the moment.
Yeah, Zeke comes from a great tradition of Hawaiian power surfers. Ben Aipa, Barry Kanayapuni. There was Sonny Garcia, and the greatest Hawaiian power surfer of all, Dane Kealoha.
I was loving that you were going to bring that up, Sean.
So Zeke is, you know, he's from that mold. You see when he surfs, he attacks it like a warrior. I love the way he surfs. Not to say I don't love the way Wiggly surfs as well, but Zeke does have this sort of power gene, and when you just look at him, you can see he exudes this powerful charisma, and when he attacks the wave, he does it in such a sort of Hawaiian way.
Well, here we go, having a look at Zeke now, and the boys just getting in each other's grills out there at the takeoff spot. Nice little slice off the top there from the Hawaiian to get this ride started. Climbs up, high line into this barrel. Does very well to squeeze that monster frame into that little barrel. And now he's going to stomp on the tail as he just banks down the line, collecting points on his road. He was kind of second-guessing himself whether he should take that wave off Wiggly. In this situation, you're out there with a couple of decent scores. You got to pull the trigger, right?
Yeah, you do. And if Wiggly wasn't going to, you know, back down until he saw Zeke Lau commit. You know, once you commit, then you know that you're going to take priority back from him. So good move by Wiggly to make sure that he committed to the wave. But I feel like Zeke conceivably could be bettering the 8.03. I really like the variety that he brought. There was a couple massive turns on that wave. You know, the outside section, he wasn't able to get a huge turn on the outside, more of a cut down, knowing that it was going to start to load up through the inside here, but this is where he got the barrel, comes out clean, comes out the end of it, and then these turns here are massive. This one, the nice arc. Again, this is the variety, and then layback snap right in the peak of that section. Again, showing the variety in the turns. He's not going to do the same turn back to back. And it really pays off to have that variety.
So still waiting on the numbers to roll through. And while we do, we've been talking about sort of the Hawaiian pioneers of that style of surfing, that power. But let's check in with Sean once again. And Sean, why don't you educate us on who the pioneers of Jeffreys Bay were, some of the masters out here at Supers?
Well, I think the first best young South African to really take this place on in 12 to 15 feet when it was in the early 70s was Gavin Rudolph, an amazing surfer from Port Elizabeth. Then I think one of the all-time greatest South African surfers was Jonathan Parman. They used to call him the Iceman from Cape Town, a good buddy of mine. We've had some terrific heats together, an absolutely fearless surfer who's still surfing and still loving life. Then there was Sean Holmes, who was every pro's worst enemy. Sean would come out here and destroy Andy Irons and any pro that turned up. So I think those are three very significant, very significant South African surfers. And then now you have Geordie Smith, who's, he's like part of that power lineage. I think South Africans, like some of the Australians, they love power, and some of the Hawaiians, they love power, and they all follow that same mold of huge, searing power arcs. And I've always thought that the true test of a surfer is how he carves. Natural-born carvers.
Oh, we love it. We love to pay homage to the pioneers of this local area. There's some real characters from this zone too. Bruce Gold, who can forget him? Just used to reside on the point here, and always just a character to run into when you came down to Jeffreys Bay. Just over 2 minutes ago, the score has made life a little tougher for Wiggly. That Zeke Lau just dropped an 8.6, goes into his top two, and the Brazilian now after an 8.66, Pete.
Well, that's exactly what Zeke needed to do, especially by utilizing that priority. If you're going to utilize priority with the heat lead, you best be improving, and that's what he's done. He improved on the 8.1 by half a point, and now makes it a bit tougher for Wiggly. So Wiggly kind of has to get a true set, I think, in order to really turn this heat. He has the 8.37 where he had those big 3 turns, but that was a major set. I think he's going to need to be on one of those types of waves, and he's got to finish it. So it's going to take a special type of wave. The 8.1, maybe you could have turned it, on a mid-size wave, but now feels like, 8.5 and above, you need to be on a solid set.
You look at Wiggly, though, he's not disengaged. He doesn't look disheartened by the fact that he's still chasing a bigger number, moving to the inside a little bit, still hungry, still seeking out that opportunity with just over a minute remaining. I tell you who'll be happy, though, Jake Patterson, Zeke's coach, just to see him execute on that last ride on what was probably a 50-50 wave, whether he should go or not. And he converted really well and turned it into a better number than it probably was. 40 seconds to go now.
Meaning by the look of the wave.
Just
right?
the looking of the wave.
Yeah, he surfed it to an 8.6.
His previous 8s were probably better looking walls, but that last one, he dug in hard. He put it together very well. 30 seconds remaining now. Wiggly running out of time, chasing an 8.66. There is something out the back. It's not the biggest set that we've seen in this heat.
Well, wave number 2 might look like the set he needs, but I don't think there's enough time.
10 seconds remaining. He's going to have a look at this one. Let's see what he can do. Drops to the bottom, straight up. Reasonably solid first turn, but we'll need more down the line. And this wave's going to get away from him. So the heat comes to a close. Wiggly left chasing that 8.66. And Zeke Lau gets one back on the Brazilian.
Well, these two starting a bit of a rivalry, we could say. Just, you end up meeting each other with your seeds a couple times in a year. So you end up developing these own rivalries as it is, Will.
Yep, let's pour some petrol on the fire. Have a look at the heat score totals, though. 17.03. Wiggly, he can hold his head up higher, 16.37. But he will have to bounce back at the next event, the Billabong Pro Tahiti. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, the last heat of the first round, Frederico Moraes up against Ian Gouveia.
Welcome back to the Corona Open here at JBay. Let me tell you, I'm up here at Casa Corona right now. Everybody enjoying themselves. There is a cold bucket here for all the commentators for right after the event. And the question is, are they going to drink one, or are they going to go out there and surf perfect waves, or are they going to do both? But let me tell you, a good vibe up here at Casa Corona. You can have a drink, watch perfect waves, everybody enjoying themselves. They love it. Let me tell you, it's a perfect place to watch it. And look at these sets coming in right now. Come on down.
An easy choice for me. I'm going straight to Casa Corona because I've mind surfed all day long. I've had so many good waves. But let's see what unfolds here. We've got a rookie battle between Federico Moraes and Ian Gouveia. Should be a good one. Ian's been surprising a lot of people with his surfing this year. His barrel riding in particular has been on point. But you'd think that to get the job done over Federico, he's going to have to lay down some pretty big turns as well.
I think another portion of this heat really is being on those waves. He's able to execute those big turns. I mean, he's got to be on good sized set waves. And, on this one, he caught way out on the top of the point. You can see a little softer and smaller beginning of it, but watch it grow down the line. In this turn here, straight up. That was the high impact maneuver, and that was right where the boys have been taken off earlier throughout this heat, throughout the last heat. So this wave softens up though, and that's the one thing about these waves you catch way up on the top of the point. They've got good pace, but they don't line up as much through that inside section. But this one caught the impossible section and stayed open, and he tagged it. I didn't get to see this part. Had the fall at the end, but you know what? He did make up for it.
Well, that last completed turn was a big fins free snap, but on the outside, kind of got those first couple of turns wrong, but really corrected on that big third vertical backhand smash.
Well, I think that you're talking about those kind of just the in-between turns, you know, where you don't have any high impact turns. You've got to combine those big turns together. You can't just put one in the middle and then kind of one at the end and expect a big number.
Well, way down the line, Ian takes a chance on a backup ride. But I think he's got to reflect back on the heat we saw with Joan Deroux and Adrian Buchan. Ace kind of fell in the trap of taking off on waves that just looked so perfect, but not from the outside, so missed a lot of scoring opportunity. And Joan Deroux, his patience at the top of the point here really paid off in the end.
It did. The whole package, right? Take off from the top of the point, finish at the end on the bricks, right where the keyhole, from keyhole to keyhole. It's kind of what you want to do, right? You go in the front door, finish out the back door.
So a 6 on the wave number 1 for the Brazilian. Just a throwaway, 0.37 on that second ride. Patient out the back is the man from Portugal. The 25-year-old Federico Moraes. Let's see what he can do. Has plenty of power that he can unload on these big open faces. Just a cut down there. So lining up, setting up this inside section. There's a more committed effort. And a big swoop to finish. So the best turn came right at the end.
That was that patented swoop that really got him on tour. We saw it Haleiwa, and then we saw it at Sunset Beach. The two 10,000s shot him from 35th all the way up to, what, 3rd or 4th in the rankings at the end of the season. He put it together in Hawaii, the big powerful waves, so you would say that this is a spot he would excel at. Took him a little bit to get warmed up. I mean, through the warm-ups, didn't see him on a lot of waves, but as of late, the last few days, he's been on a few, and he's been putting together some big turns.
I really like Fred surfing when he connects with a nice steep pocket. That's when he can really let that turn unfold. I feel like sometimes on these flatter sections, he has to cut his turns a little short, but when he gets a big steep bowl, it's awesome to watch him unload.
Well, let's see how that section flattened out. He carved it, and now it finally gets a bit more steep, and he can start to lay the rail down. That one was a bit of a two-stage one, but this one completely engaged arc the whole way through. You can see when that type of turn where you can hold the entire maneuver and never really shift it. It's always it just gets more and more powerful. Those are the types of turns that the judges love. You know, the one before that was a perfect example of what you really didn't want to do, because it was a flatter section where you had to kind of whip it back into the pocket. And actually it was like a second turn within the maneuver.
I love watching just the thought process playing out on a ride for these competitors. These surfers, the competitors, they give an honest appraisal of their own performance on a ride. So Fred would have known that he didn't really connect with any of the sections on the outside. Even when he got that first opportunity to draw his turn out, the wave flattened out a little bit and he couldn't lay his board over in that trademark arc. He decided to go for that last turn and really try and salvage a score out of that ride. He got himself a 5.5, and I'd say that really the bulk of the points, maybe, 4 points of that ride came on that final turn.
I would agree. I totally agree. I mean, that final turn was very impactful. The one difference being is that was pretty far down the line, too. So I don't think the judges would have gotten a full, clean look at that. But it did come in the score. I think that was just about right, half point under Ian Gouveia. So the spread seems correct. It is on the lower end of the scale, but we'd expect more here, being that it is still pumping JBay.
27 minutes to go here. Glorious afternoon on the Eastern Cape. Couldn't think of a better place to be right now. And I'm sure everyone's loving the show because
I think
it's been so many waves with it.
America, it's coffee time, waking up, enjoying it. Here, it's happy hour.
Well, they're drinking coffee in Australia too.
No, they don't.
It's in the AM.
No.
Oh, you think they're cracking the Coronas already?
It's Oz. Don't you guys just... It's okay, just any time of the day.
So you can see the tide is quite low here at the moment. But the beauty of the sandbar at the moment is that it's really not a factor. The reef is kind of out of play. It's the sand that's built up on that inside section. Low tide, high tide. We've got a lot to work with.
So true. I mean, even this morning, if the winds hadn't had that angle coming up the face like that, it actually likes the full tide. Even with all that sand, you don't really get a backwash here because all the rocks kind of dampen, so you don't get a surge or any backwash. The size of the swell was, a bit bigger today, so it was awesome this morning. Just that wind held us off to that later start. But tell you what, we're here at the last heat of round 2, and the conditions have been pretty much spot on all day long. I mean, every surfer has been very, very psyched to head out to their heat today.
Waiting on the next set to roll on through. It is Ian Gouveia out in the lead at the moment. Frederico Moraes can turn this one at the moment with a very low score. Right now we're going to check in with the winner of the last heat with Rosie Hodge. It's Zeke Lau.
Well, one of the most exciting heats, Zeke. I mean, I saw you looking at your watch after the 8.6. You stayed 5 minutes on the clock. Were you just tripping that the waves are this perfect and you got to spend it with one other person in the water?
Yeah, for sure. I just told myself before I go out, if I finish 2 waves, I'll be happy. My first heat was a little slow, so, I was pretty bummed I didn't get 2 chances, and, I ended up getting 3 or 4 in that heat, so I was super happy with that, and I was just trying to be relaxed, surf loose, and enjoy it out there. It's firing, and I just want to, perform.
And how was it surfing against someone like Wiggly? We know that he can be quite competitive and push the issue in the water. Did you feel any of that energy, or did you guys just play your own part?
Yeah, I knew he was going to show up and compete, and I can't shy away from that. I got to just be willing to battle, and that's what it was. It was a full battle till the end, and I had to really be smart with the waves that I took, and knowing the situation the whole time. So I'm really happy the way it turned out, and stoked.
And we've seen the rookies do so well today in this round number 2. Does that get you fired up? I mean, being part of such a great rookie class?
I was bummed I was in round 2. I want to win my first heat for once this year, but either way, I just roll with the punches and keep fighting and battling.
All right, Zeke, we'll see you in round 3. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. Solid performance from that man. He's through to the 3rd round at an event where he has a lot of potential to do great things. 23 minutes and 40 seconds to go out there, and we've got a couple more rookies fighting for a place in round 3. Ian Gouveia using his priority for this wall. Drives off the bottom. Just crushing the lip a couple of times now. Let's see what he can do here on the inside to finish. Nice little backhand float. That'll be all, but the combination of some pretty solid turns there.
That's the kind of surfing you want to see. Those two really good, I mean 3 or 4 ultimately, but two really solid turns back to back. I mean, he missed that first turn slightly, but he set up the section perfectly with good timing for the 2-turn combo. And he unleashed on it, plus he had the finish. He was a nice, impactful finish. Much better ride for Ian Gouveia. I mean, even though it wasn't as long, I feel like it's going to be very similar to that first, probably a little bit higher. This wave, he caught down the point, so it's going to have that. So here he kind of misses these first section, but then times the second section perfectly and gets 2 beautiful turns. Here has to chase it for that last, but goes for the late hit, float. Nice impactful final move. So 3 solid turns, but look at how this just sets up. Straight up, attacks the lip, straight to the bottom again, and then vertical for the second turn. And of course, the final move, waited till that section was coming down, so he's nice and late, makes it much more critical for that float move. And he almost just bashed that section and then unweight and land back out in the flats.
How awesome for this 24-year-old to be walking in the footsteps of his dad too, who competed here at Jeffreys Bay. Fabio Gouveia, one of the most stylish Brazilian surfers of all time.
I really loved how Fabio surfed in Hawaii. Again, just flawless at Sunset Beach, had such great style.
In 96, he overcame Jake Patterson here in the second round. Jake, of course, won this event twice. He lost out to Victor Ribas that year, but he had some really big results. He beat Taj Burrow here in 99. Got a win over Shea Lopez and Kalani Robb that same season. In 2002, he went on a bit of a giant-killing run. He beat Taylor Knox and Luke Egan, ended up losing out to Joel Parkinson. No shame in that, but pretty good track record, really.
Well, you'd say that style and approach that Fabio had on his forehand, so he's a regular footer compared to his son being a goofy footer. But, you know, his style and approach to this big, long JBay walls, style has a lot to play in getting bigger scores here and flowing those maneuvers together.
Well, Terry Fitzgerald, he was such a good surfer out here at Jeffreys Bay, and well, both his sons were goofy footers. He must have been a little bit upset about that. Unless you're in a...
I don't know if you get upset. It's just that you end up kind of battling about where you're going to surf. Exactly, right? And I've got a dad.
You can split the peak.
Yeah, true. This is true, and we've done that occasionally. But usually you're like, okay, if you're going to surf a wave that's going to have a left and a right, that's usually not the case, unless you're going to lowers.
Well, here we go. 20.5 minutes to go. A 7 for Ian on his last wave. So pushing a little further ahead here. Wants to get rid of a 6 now to make life hard for Frederico Moraes. But he goes some big backhand snaps in this heat at the moment. Now goes looking for that tube that he loves so much. Still driving through this one. Ooh, I don't know if you could say he had control of the exit there, but he definitely reappeared.
So again, he's trying to better the 6 now with this wave. You know, down the line, he took off kind of that mid outside impossible section. So it is definitely further down the line. That will, you know, we talked about having to be able to take off the top of the keyhole and finish at the bottom of the keyhole to really get, you know, especially into that excellent range. You know, so I feel like this could be kind of more in the same kind of that good 6 to 8-ish, but even probably not even really going to get above the 6. But we'll see what the judges think. There was a couple nice turns, but there was also one turn that he had where he kind of did the turn and he got stuck and he kind of had to force it to get back down.
Meanwhile, out at the takeoff, Moraes has been patient. Let's see if it pays off for him. A couple of big hits to get started on this one. Driving down the line. Nice little lip line floater there. It projects him out onto the open face with a whole lot of speed to burn. And he strings together a couple of nice maneuvers. He likes the feel of that. Just under 19 minutes to go. Your thoughts on that ride, Pete?
Yeah, just I feel like at the very end of that ride, he wanted so much more to really kind of put that stamp on it. It just didn't get that. You know, the final floater, he was so late. He knows that he needs to complete the ride, so it was a tiny bit tentative. There was the first turn, though, was nice. Beautiful, again, that arc where he did not have to shift it. It just was this beautiful round arc. You know, and again, impact of the points happening at the very beginning of the wave is crucial. But then it just started to run a little bit too quick, and it never gave him that opportunity to open up. Those are the types of turns we want to see from Frederico, when he can actually get that full round arc, and he just didn't have that ability at the back end of this wave. So this first turn here was beautiful. You know, it's a little flatter section, but he was able to open up. Nice snap there too. That's that carve. He carries it through, but he cut it a little short, knowing that he had to get down the line, and then more lip line maneuvers here. Didn't get that maneuver until he had to chase it. And that final move, this angle looked a little better with that final move.
Let's check in with Strider Wasilewski. He was watching that wave as well.
Yes, we were. We're down here over at the African Perfection. And so that's Richard Dog Marsh in the foreground there. He's filming every single wave that comes through. So he's the pit boss over here for the Billabong team. And so he's going to catch everything, and then he's going to break it all down after the heat, whether there's a success or a failure. Let them know what they think and where he's at. They can actually, they're so close to the action, they can signal the surfers of where to sit on the peak, where to go, how to get back out there. So we'll see how this thing plays out, but he's definitely going to sit down with his athletes after the heat, show them this footage, tell him what he did right or wrong.
It was a really difficult wave to surf, wasn't it? It was one that Fred had to really chase down the line. The second turn, I thought he did a great job of just unleashing a little bit of power, but it was a real racy number.
It was, and again, it was just a tough wave, you know, especially for what Federico, his style and approach. He likes to have that big open canvas.
It's interesting just watching the surfers sometimes with less experience in this lineup. You know, you want to flow, you want to show that you can be that sort of complete JBay surfer with that mature line throughout, but I do feel like sometimes when you get fixated on flowing through the ride, you forget to get those major turns in.
Well, that's that, you know, trying to be, you know, surf to the criteria, which is a combination of major maneuvers, speed, power, and flow. That, like, you feel like, yeah, flow is really important, and it shows. If you're able to connect with flow, it really is truly where you'll see the 9+ rides come from. But again, that's timing. Like, you have to be able to do that flow and have it connect with the steeper sections. You just can't start flowing down the line and think it's going to come together. You have to time it right.
Yeah, I think Zeke Lau had a great approach in that last heat. You know, at some stage you were like, oh, you don't want to overcommit to the turn there, but he just kept it kind of on a knife's edge. He could have let some of those waves go if he overcommitted just a bit too much, but he gave it just the right amount, and as a result was getting scored for major turns and really linked his waves together very well.
Well, we got another close heat on our hands. I mean, separated by just, you know, a little over a half point.
So a 7.17, not enough to see Federico Moraes go into the lead, but now only chasing a 5.83 with just over 15 minutes remaining. We are nearing the end of another epic day of competition here at the Corona Open JBay with Ian Gouveia and Federico Moraes fighting for the last spot in round 3. Make sure you stick around for the WSL post show. It's going to be a big one. Joe Topel's back. along with Martin Potter. And we'll also have a very special guest, the highest scoring surfer of the event so far. Felipe Toledo will be joining us. He dropped a 10-point ride in his round 2 heat today. We're going to look back on the 10s that have been scored this year. We're going to update you on Kelly Slater's condition. Injured himself free surfing this morning. Also check out Jadson Andre's heat win, which was an interesting one against Kolohe Andino. But plenty to break down from what has been a fantastic day. During the break, Ian Gouveia had this ride. He's trying to get something better than a 6 to move further ahead of Federico Moraes.
But again, he had to chase it down from the outside section. And this wave still moving down the line very quickly. So to pack those turns in and still make it to the open face, very challenging. And you can see he's moved way past. It's really hard to judge when you get that far down. So just a small score for him. And then Federico. Oh, that's the arc that we love to see from him. And then he backs it up with 2 in a row. Not a big size set wave, but the turns are high impact. And this wave gave him good pace so he could open up. Again, we saw what Zeke Lau was able to do when he opens up and extends his maneuvers. That's what Federico could do. He's tall and lanky and strong. And on his forehand like that, he's able to open up.
Well, this should be a pretty solid score for Federico, because that was the first wave we've had where a surfer's just been able to really bank hard on that first maneuver.
Well,
and
that
he dug in
and keep it going, right? I mean, he kept 3, 4, 5 turns throughout. Good choice of waves there, and that's the difference, I think, that with the experience out here is being able to find those waves and have them be big enough set waves, but the part of the reef that they take off on it allows the ability to get 2, 3, or 4 major turns back to back.
An 8-point ride for the man in red, and he is now in front. And Ian Gouveia chasing an 8.17 to get himself into the lead. As mechanical as this wave looks, there really isn't anything predictable about it. Different set waves can do very different things. Sometimes I've heard the coaches say you've got to find that insider that stands up. That's the wave that suits your surfing. And I think Fred, he's finally tapped into that wave. It was a nice slow pace. Talked about those steeper sections, those bowls that Fred really excels on. And he found it on that last ride.
Well, that's the first excellent ride. And look, even Gouveia, he was able to up the ante a bit. So again, tight heat. But right now, advantages to Federico. And this is where you got to compete. As much as it is perfect JBay, this is one of those closer heats. So now you got to utilize that priority. Federico has that priority as he sits on the outside. You can't let Ian get away. You got to kind of understand where he is in the lineup, not let him find a little gem somewhere else. But Federico kind of looking in. He's looking pretty joyous, happy about it.
He's always happy. Just under 10 minutes to go.
But see the gap? I mean, for me personally, I don't know if I'd be leaving him down there. I mean, because if a bigger set or a little double up one comes in there and you see a barrel happen down there, I mean, I don't want to see him go all the way down there, but paying attention to it, at least having a look to see where he's at in the lineup.
He's got eyes in the back of his head, Pete.
Okay.
Just under 9.5 minutes to go. A bit of a break in the action out the back. Gives us a good opportunity to have a chat to one of the best out here at JBay, Joel Parkinson with Strider Wasilewski.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. Yeah, Joel Parkinson, jumping through to round 3, getting to watch these waves. It's got to be a little stir in the pot. You're looking at these waves, just licking your chops.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, it's almost like Chinese torture in a way. You as much as you want to be out there, but, it's just so good to see JBay in all its glory, and the last couple of hours have been so good. That's like 9 out of 10, I thought, for the size and for how clean it is and just how perfect it looks.
Talk to me a little bit about the swell that's coming. I mean, you guys have a great forecast, and we're hoping for even better waves tomorrow. Anticipation, the excitement, the level of froth.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm a frother, so it's hard. Like sitting here, I'm just like So I find myself like pacing, looking at the ground, looking at the walls, and just look up every set. Otherwise, you just I think today I've probably surfed 100 waves in my head and had 10-point rides over and over and again. You just kind of mind surf and you get lost in watching it, and it's pretty amazing. And with this forecast we have, forecasts can always go wrong. Anything can happen, but we're there and we have waiting periods to take a risk and wait for the best waves. We probably could have rushed this thing through and run 2 JBays with this forecast, but it's going to be really big on Thursday. Even tomorrow looks pretty solid, but Thursday looks like like as big as it can be.
Watching the fellow competitors out here at JBay surf, is there anybody that's standing out to you, or you just get stoked with everybody surfing?
It's great to see. I've loved watching some of the new guys like Zeke too. I hadn't seen Zeke surf JBay before, and it was really good to see just different approaches. He had a great foresight of down the line, and he could see what was coming ahead really early. And I guess that's kind of a point break thing is the foresight, and I guess guesstimating on how far that section and what it's going to do a long way out is a way to surf a point breaks, and everyone's been really doing it well.
Surf tonight or hold off till tomorrow?
I've surfed every session, morning and at night, so today I'm going to have it off and I'm just going to watch, because I think the next few days there's going to be so much surfing and paddling, and I'm pretty keen just to let the body have one afternoon off.
Well, there you go. Thanks for the time. Can't wait to see you in round 3.
Nice. Thanks. Cheers.
Oh, finally, the rest of us might get a wave this afternoon. Joel Parkinson, one of the best out here, a 2-time winner. And,
I love Richard.
It is hard. I bet Joel is thinking, I should have just thrown that first round heat. It would have given me an opportunity to surf even better waves. No?
I mean, at this point, you're here for a reason. Yeah, he would have been able to surf an extra round, but you always like winning.
No, of course. No one wants to lose. But Joel Parkinson will get his opportunity in some epic conditions, hopefully. Maybe tomorrow morning.
You would think with the odds of the way things look right now that we will be running again tomorrow. There will be a little bit of wane and swell before it comes back up again. But it's been pumping pretty much all day long. It's funny watching that interview. You see Richard Marsh taking notes, doing homework back there.
Definitely, yeah. And you know what? I'm going to put the word out there now. We'll try and get some cameras on the free surfing session this afternoon, because the waves will be firing until dark. And let's try and get just a glimpse of what's to come in the 3rd round, because all the surfers that have progressed, they're going to be out there warming up. I'm sure some of those surfers with less experience that lost out in the 2nd round, they'll be back out there this afternoon putting in the work, anticipating their return.
You just want to see someone shooting you surf, huh?
I don't think I'm going to surf, Pete.
Too much mental surfing going on. Well, it's interesting when Joel was talking about watching and mind surfing waves. As surfers, you end up doing that a lot, and you do get fatigued even just watching surf all day long. You feel like you're just mentally, you're out there. Physically it's not necessarily, but mentally, dang, you get a little fatigued watching waves over and over.
So 5 minutes to go here. And some big turns laid down by Ian Gouveia. But just a little more patience from Fred has paid off. And at the moment, he's got that 8 and a 7.17. Well, let's see what Gouveia can do with this wave. Chasing an 8.17. It's a beautiful looking wall. Chasing down the open face. And there he is, stalling for that barrel. He really can't get enough.
Well, you look at the conditions, the offshore is blowing. You figure at some point in this wave, you're going to see a nice barrel. So, why not find it? But at this point,
it is a hard wave to really just try and force it. If the wave's not presenting, if it's not throwing open, it's going to clamp on you every single time. You need a bit of room to move. And here goes Federico Moraes with a big, smooth section to lay down a huge carve to get started. Just taps that lip to get down the line. Drawing things out nicely. Beautiful combo there. Oh, that was silky. Nicely cut down into that hit.
You know, he did that first arc, and you saw at the bottom there just a little stumble, but he pulled it together. And then that two-turn combo where he just straight out of the car into the bottom turn, and then the snap. You know, he had a little lower speed, so you're able to like really release that tail. You know, a lot of times with all the speed, you kind of carve through your maneuvers, whereas then you kind of slow up. It allows you that little less speed to really hook the snap. And it shows a little differentiation between the two turns. Nice work there from Federico. You know, probably feels like he'll better the 717.
I love those S-turn. Two maneuver combos where someone cuts down and holds their line through the bottom turn, doesn't double pump it, and drives up into the pocket.
Yeah, I mean, it's a neat combination. It's not easy to do, and especially when that second maneuver, when you really want to make sure that that second maneuver has high impact. But this turn here is beauty. Just big, long arc, but right there, little stumble, but keeps it together. And then here it gets into that section where he lays the turn over, straight to the bottom, keeps it together, hooks the snap. Judges eat that combo up a lot.
Well, they're not dining out on this one, though. A 6.17, so he doesn't up the ante, but that first turn's solid.
Yeah, see how he opened up his arms just like he's flying across the face like a big bird.
Like a condor.
A little bit, but we won't quite give him a condor. So you can see, look at this too, again, where he lays it over, keeps it together, straight into the bottom, loads up the fins again, the speed, and then that snap where he can really lay it over quickly. You know, it felt like it was going to be, you know, rivaling the 717, but the judges didn't buy in.
Just over a minute and a half to go. Let us know how you're watching the Corona Open JBay. Hashtag Corona Open JBay. Everyone enjoying Casa Corona down here on the point. They've got a big screen laid out there. And you can watch all those replays unfold, but I'm sure every surf fan has enjoyed what's unfolded today, because there's been some magic performances. None better than Felipe Toledo. He's just arrived on set. He's gearing up for the WSL Post Show. That's coming up next. But we have some lines approaching. Ian Gouveia might just get a shot at this number. He's chasing an 8.17 still.
But I mean, he doesn't get priority because he hasn't paddled out fully to the end of the section. Doesn't really matter because Federico's on the inside, but he has to paddle out all the way out to the keyhole in order to get allocated priority. And he hasn't done that yet. He's stayed kind of on that inside section.
Let's see how composed he is. There's something on the outside, but he's looking at this first wave. 40 seconds remaining. Chasing an 8.17. Needs to let some of those big vertical backhand jams go that we saw in his opening ride. Setting up the barrel, though. He tucks in. This thing's reeling off without him. And he's not going to find the exit. As good a tube rider as he is, he goes down. 20 seconds remaining. And Fred, he can just ride this one to the finish line with a huge hack.
Beauty. Again, vertical and a finish. That's that toilet bowl section, just like they have it. At the end of the Haleiwa section, just very similar. We saw him doing that same type of maneuver. Nice work, Federico.
A good heat to finish off a great day of competition. Thank you, Jeffreys Bay.
Absolutely. We'll give a little credit to the surfers too.
They did all right.
Yeah.
They did okay.
Especially that guy who's coming up on the post show.
Can't wait to watch that performance in slow-mo. Have Felipe talk us through that amazing 10-point ride. What an effort it was. But the last heat of the day, won by Federico Moraes. He's on his way to round 3. Stick around for the WSL Post Show with Martin Potter and Joe Tappel.